Hello and welcome to another episode of Video Game Logic. Today's show was recorded on May the 9th, 2017. I'm your host, Gaming Psychologist, and bringing him back from his vacation,
Caffeine Rage.
On today's show, we will of course be discussing the games that we've played. We have an update on Persona 5's streaming and YouTube policy. Esports are going to become an Olympic sport. Steam makes a few more changes. We'll have our weekly community corner and our weekly Steam Discovery Queue. And as always, timestamps will be in the show notes following their respective topics. One take. See, that's the thing. I just have to down myself and be like, I'm going to fuck this up, and then I get it perfect. By the way, hi, Rach.
At least it's good that we're going to get on this show.
Yeah.
Just wondering, was I supposed to start my recording by now?
You were supposed to.
Oh, damn.
That's why we went through the whole sync and countdown to record.
Oh, so that's why I hit that red button.
Yeah, that's why you should have hit that red button. Oh, I missed you. I missed doing this. I mean, in some ways, I did have a nice little break. And in other ways, I just was like, God, I'm so tired and want this to be over and things to be back to normal. So.
And now you're thinking, God, I'm so tired. I want this to be over.
No, I'm okay. I've had 2 cups of coffee. I'm on my 3rd right now, so hopefully the caffeine guides me through.
Oh, you are so screwed.
Yeah. I didn't take my nap like I intended to. But my recording, I had a little bit lazier day than originally planned. I did record with Chemist earlier. Our 2nd episode.
Yeah, cheating on
Straight
me.
as a pretzel. Well, I mean, we talk about gay stuff. Although that's not very different than what I talk about here, but I have someone else to talk about gay stuff.
Well, why shouldn't you be happy?
Indeed, I should be very happy. But I did that. I had a couple of cancellations today, so I wound up sitting at home for a little longer than I thought I was going to. So I'm doing okay. I'll be fine. It's all going to be fine. Nothing to see here. Move along. But there is plenty to listen to here, so just keep your ear holes plugged with the sounds of our talking.
Well, that was elegant.
That was terrible. Although that's no better than usual, or no worse than usual.
No, I'm going to disagree. I say that is probably a bit worse than usual.
Is it?
Yeah.
I don't know. I always have a couple of really stupid, horribly worded things to say every episode, so it's fine.
Yeah, but you usually at least get one of those out of the way in the intro, but...
I started to hang on to it.
And people are wondering, why the hell are we listening to this still?
Because you love us. I hope. I love you, even if you don't love me. By the way, tonight's podcast is brought to you by I'm Feeling Lucky on Google Play Music, currently playing Hoobastank. So,
well, if we're sharing what we're listening to, I have Old Time Rock and Roll on Pandora going.
A playlist or the song Old Time
song.
Rock and Roll? Okay. I won't sing it.
I'll
ruin it. And it's an excellent classic rock song. Yeah,
you already kind of ruined an Eagles song already.
Yeah. There's no real good way to segue from this to games. So do you just want to go talk about the games that we played?
Well, occasionally we do talk about games.
Indeed. And we've got a pretty big list, especially me.
Yeah, I kind of took a week off of pretty much everything. Had some medical stuff pop up again, so... And I have medical stuff coming up in a couple weeks, so goody. Hopefully it shouldn't impact the show.
Well, I mean, if we have to run some more Franken content, we've got 2 more episodes. So, I'm not too worried about it.
Yeah, or we could just, get together at a different time and start talking about Life is Strange again, because I'm sure you still have stuff to talk about there as well.
I've tweeted about it 2 or 3 times in the past week. I'm still thinking about that game. So good.
Yeah, I've noticed.
I keep listening to the soundtrack at the clinic, too. Like, people are walking in to my office, and they're like, "You're listening to that again?" I'm like, "Yeah, it's so good." You don't understand. You haven't played the game, Adrian.
I'm not as hung up on it as you, I guess. I do like the soundtrack to it, though.
Yeah. Especially because, like I said, or like we both said, we usually don't go for that kind of music, but so good.
I'm just going to have to send you the Bastion soundtrack, I guess.
I mean, I like the Bastion soundtrack as well.
Just try to give your poor co-workers a reprieve. Please, anything but that. I didn't think a therapist was supposed to be driving people absolutely batshit insane, but there you go.
Are you kidding? That's like the first thing in the job description. It's like, fuck with people, help them. It's 1 and 2 right there.
So that's what Lucy was doing. She never got to step 2.
Yeah, Lucy was just real bad at getting to step 2. I love how we tried to go to video games, and then we wound up talking about Charlie Brown and music.
Yeah, so how about an absolutely ancient game that I didn't care for?
Sure.
The Sunday Sampler for me. Like I said, I took a week off, so only one in the last couple of weeks. The Blob. Or De Blob.
De Blob.
This is a recent port of a Wii game from, I guess, about 8 years now? 8 or 9? There's been a resurgence of just these old Wii titles, I guess. Their exclusivity contracts are running out with Nintendo, so they're coming out on PC. The Blob is one of those, but there's been quite a few of these lately. And I have to say, this definitely isn't a game for me. I think you would absolutely love playing this, especially, with your kid.
Yeah.
Because it's very colorful. There's a lot of little silly humor in it. But the thing is that I'm a big gameplay guy, and it bored me to tears. There's essentially 2 modes in this game. It's technically, I would call it a 3D platformer, even though there's not really a lot of platforming on this. It's more of a 3D painter where you're running around collecting different colors and painting buildings certain colors. And there's a lot of little mini games that you have to complete in each level to build up your points to unlock the gate to get to the next section of the level, and eventually you hit a certain level, or you hit a certain cap for the level, and that unlocks the end of the level, and you're able to leave. And you have a time limit to do this, and as you do each of the little mini activities, it guarantees you bonus time. And also, as you paint sections of the map, you also get bonus time as you essentially liberate the people that have had all the color sucked out of their lives, literally, by the Ink Corporation, as they declare a war on color. And boy, this would not float in today's political environment.
No, it would not. It looks super cute. I think you're absolutely right that I would enjoy playing this with King.
Yeah, it's one of those games that it's just not for me. And the thing, mostly because it is extremely repetitive. Granted, I only got to the 3rd level of it, and each level, there's sets of levels. There's the main level that is essentially your traditional 3D platformer, kind of pseudo open world level. And then there's 2 sub-levels to it that if you get a high enough score on the main level, you unlock. And they're essentially a speed platforming level. And I didn't like either version of it. The speed platforming, it relies on painting certain buildings, certain colors, and a very, 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 very tight time frame. Something on the order of, I think the longest one I ran into was 3-4 minutes long. But the thing is that the camera absolutely sucks in this game. It is definitely not made for, really even gamepad. I tried it with a mouse and keyboard, just thinking, okay, maybe the camera would be better on that. No, it was actually worse. It acted like it was emulating a joystick. So if I moved the mouse, it was moving in pretty much the same way that it was with my DualShock controller.
I wonder if it would work if you could rig up a Wiimote to it, because Wiimotes
maybe
connect via Bluetooth, and then I think
maybe that's what I was thinking, because there's certain segments of it that it's definitely they're trying to translate the waggle controls of a Wii into button presses, and it just doesn't work. whenever you take over landmarks, which are high-value targets on the map, in order to do that, you have to have a certain number of paint points. And to get the paint points, you essentially have to capture these little bots that have colored paint in them. And you also are able to mix the colors. So if you're yellow and you pick up a blue, you turn green. And then if you pick up red while you're green, you turn brown because you mudded all the colors together.
Right.
But as you pick up each one of these, you also pick up a certain number of paint points along with it. And as you paint the environment, you're depleting those paint points. And if you try to paint a landmark, you have to have a certain number of paint points and also the particular color that you need. And then you have to press the button. A lot of times. If it requires 30 paint points, you have to press X or A or whatever it was. I can't remember which. 30 times.
Oh, that's stupid.
Yeah, it's basically, the waggle controls only a button.
Yeah.
Which makes it even worse. But getting back to the speed platforming, because the camera is so sluggish, granted, you are able to speed up the camera a fair bit. And if you spend enough time with it, I think you can dial it into a point where it's actually decent. But the platforming itself, most 3D platformers these days, they have a wall jump. I think that's pretty much a standard move these days.
Yeah.
And this, you are so sticky whenever you wall jump. You chuckled there. Did I say something funny?
No, that was a little bit of a
cough. Did I amuse you?
Yes, you always amuse me. But no, that was a little bit of a cough. I tried to hold it in, but it snuck out.
All right, carry on then. Oh, wait, I'm talking.
I was going to say, you're talking. You carry on.
Well, because you're so sticky, and you have to essentially steer the camera in the left thumbstick in the proper way in order to do a proper wall jump. But because the camera is so weird and floaty, and there's supposed to be a way to send the camera behind you, but I would be damned if I could get it to work. Because I kept saying, press the right stick. Press the right stick. The camera did absolutely nothing. But because of how the interaction between the left and right stick works in this game, it made it so that I kept jumping in a completely different direction than what I wanted to. Assuming that the blob would even jump off the wall. Half the time, it would just kind of splatter onto the wall and just kind of slowly slide down. Looked like somebody threw a jello mold at a wall and just watch it slowly slide down.
Yeah, that sounds mildly fun.
I found it extremely frustrating just because you had such a tight time limit on the speed running, for lack of a better term. And a lot of the levels were set up that if you missed a jump, you go back a significant, if not the complete level, and start platforming again. Thankfully, usually those levels also have it so that you're no longer a particular color. It washes off your paint. So you're not repainting the entire level. You just have to continue, get back to where you were, but it's still extremely frustrating. And the open world section was just extremely repetitive. There was, the open world or 3D, traditional 3D platformer sections, it took me about 25 minutes to get through each one. And that's not even doing completionist. That's just, getting to the point where I have it where I could unlock a couple of the speedruns, which requires a certain number of points above the threshold to unlock the end gate. Well, in order to get those, you have to do pretty much all the little mini challenges. And one of them had sent me back to the same block of buildings and paint all these buildings red. All right, painted them all red. Unlocked the challenge, got my bonus points. Another one opened up a little bit down the road and it sent me back to the same block that I just completed and said, okay, paint this button, this building, this building, this building, this building yellow. All right, fine. Then I had a third one send me back and paint different buildings green. So, yeah, it feels like it's not made my demographic. I think you'd love it with King. But for me, it just made me hate life.
All right.
So how about we talk about something else?
All right, carry on.
The Humble Bundle, I shouldn't say there was a new Humble Bundle because there's constantly a new Humble Bundle these days. But there was another positive bundle where it was a bunch of games that were rated very highly. And I got the low tier of it, and I actually sent you one of the spare games out of it. But I played some of Super Mega Baseball Extra Innings. Which sounds like a horrible, horrible title, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's not exactly
look interesting to me at all.
Well, I have a soft spot. I have a soft spot for sports games, and there's not a lot of really good sports games on PC. There's some all right. Then you get a few of the really good ones like Rocket League. But for baseball, there's not a lot out there in general. And as a matter of fact, EA just announced that, oh, look, it's another year where all the major sports games, they're not coming to PC because fuck you. But Super Mega Baseball is essentially, think of it as the NBA Jam of baseball. Not quite as extreme as NBA Jam was, but it's very arcadey, and it's easy to pick up, but it still has enough depth to it that you're able to find a challenge in it. And there's a couple of systems in it that I really like. There's a system, the difficulty system, they call it Ego. And it goes from 1 to 100 and split up into pitching, batting, base running, and fielding. And you're able to independently adjust these to make the game, as difficult or as easy as you want. And as you level these up, I shouldn't say level, but raise these up, it changes the game somewhat. It makes it so that, for batting, for example, at level 1, it's essentially you press A as soon as the ball is in the over the plate and you hit it. Bringing it up to about 40, which is where I'm playing at right now. You still have to time the ball naturally. I mean, that's a basic thing in baseball, but it's coming down to more prediction. It's still aiming somewhat where the pitch is, but it requires a lot more of prediction to figure out where the pitch is to be able to contact it well. And as you continue up in the ego levels, it makes it so that the assists for the game slowly come off more and more. And according to the forums, it is exceptionally difficult once you start getting to about the 70s. All the training wheels come off, and the game stops holding back.
Okay.
And the other thing that I really like is the system in it called Mojo. It's essentially the pressure system in the game, where in baseball, the game could get very streaky, where a pitcher gets rattled and starts behaving poorly, or performing poorly, I should say. Well, depending on the pitcher, behave poorly may also work. And it makes it so that it's a lot easier to hit off them. If a batter is doing particularly well, they'll get on a hot streak or a cold streak if they're doing poorly. And that's what the Mojo system is in this game. It only comes into play when it's a high-pressure situation. And the higher the pressure, the more the mojo of the player comes into play. If your mojo is high, it raises your stats. If it's low, it lowers your stats. So if it's 2 outs, bottom of the ninth, and your team is behind, that's a high-pressure situation for the batter. And a low-pressure situation if you're the pitcher, if you have the lead. So it'd make it so that the batter, it's a lot tougher for them to perform, assuming that they haven't done well previously in the game. And it's an interesting way of showing, of having it where it's a lot more realistic, where it has that pressure, but it doesn't feel so arbitrary. Because it's, yes, I realize that it's an arbitrary stat, that it's adjusting things by a certain amount, but it feels more natural, which actually was a little bit shocking in what's really an arcade game. Okay. And also the fact that it's one of those weird things that they actually allow female players in a baseball game.
Oh, that's nice.
Granted, it's literally just cosmetic. It changes no stats whatsoever. But the first time I was playing with my team and I had a woman step up to the plate, it's like, wait, what?
I think the only other baseball game I've ever seen that does that is the Wii Sports baseball games.
Oh, well, this is very reminiscent of the old backyard baseball. Granted, it's not as crazy as backyard baseball was, at least if I recall correctly. There's no... Well, I guess a good way to put it is the Mario sports games, where you have where there's no way that you're able to really predict a power move unless you have spent ages and ages playing the game. You know what I'm talking about?
No.
Trying to think of a good example. Mario Tennis, I think, had it where you had to pretty much know the power move to be able to try to counter it. But there's nothing like that in this. It's actually a really nice mixture between simulation and arcade.
Okay.
There's no, throwing the perfect pitch and it burrows into the ground until it pops up right in front of the plate and, goes through the strike zone. Nothing like that.
Okay.
I've really been enjoying it, though. I'm playing a medium-length season, which is, I think, 30-some games, and I'm about halfway through it. And each team, they have it set up where each team has their particular strengths and weaknesses. And, well, just like real life, because, certain teams are set up to have all power hitters. There's certain teams that are set up that are more defensive-oriented. And I'm definitely seeing, which teams are definitely better than others. Granted, I'm still kind of dialing in the difficulty system to where I'm at. I've been enjoying it. It's been a really good pickup for $1.
Nice. Well, I'm glad you enjoy it. It looks okay, but just I'm not...
They do have a second one coming out that it doesn't have quite as goofy of an art style. It's a little bit more realistic. Granted, it still looks like it could be on a Wii or Wii U. But it's, it's a little bit more on the realistic side. But hopefully they have it where it still has the same gameplay. Because that's what I really like about this is that a lot of baseball games, it's either over-the-top arcade action or it's super simulation. There's not a lot of in-between, and this feels a really good mixture of the in-between.
Okay. Cool. What else you got?
Alright, my last one is I picked up Besiege again. Played it a little bit, yesterday evening. And it's been a while since I played this, and they've added a lot to the game. I originally picked it up when it first released on Early Access. And back then, it just had a handful of weapons and one set of levels. But now they've had it where there's, I would say, 3 times as many weapons. There's rockets, there's remote mines, it's a lot easier to build proper catapults now. And another thing is that they're releasing multiplayer before too long, which is a little surprising. I wasn't expecting that in Besiege.
Nice. Yeah, I think I was in the same boat as you were, because I got Besiege a while back.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I picked it up for like $5 or something.
Yeah.
When it first released. For those who don't know, Besiege is essential. At its heart, it's a vehicle puzzle game where you're put on a level and told, okay, kill all the knights or destroy all the buildings or, do whatever. And you have to build a vehicle, sort of like how Kerbal does, where it's a bunch of little blocks. And you build a vehicle to perform that task. I don't think I'm out of place in calling it kind of a puzzle game.
No, it is a sort of a puzzle game. But yeah, I think we were both in the same boat because we got it early on, and then we both refunded it, right? I did.
No.
Oh, you?
I still own it.
Oh, okay.
How do you think I played it?
I don't know. I thought maybe you bought it again. It's still not very expensive.
No, the only game that I refunded in early access was now I'm blanking on the name of it, the space game, because I kept having stations drop out of orbit.
Right. Okay.
It wasn't that big a discount either, so. And they were talking about how it wasn't going to increase in price, so I just refunded it. But Besiege, it's one of those games that I think if it's a very love it or hate it game, because I think there's a lot of people that look at it and just kind of write it off, particularly because of the art style, because it's set up so it looks like miniatures, little models, but and particularly how all the characters move, and with the depth of field especially, which I just absolutely love its art style. But it's one of those games that I think a lot of people write off because of that art style. And it's a lot deeper than what a lot of people want to give it credit. Even now, it's still barely in early access. I think it only has 2 sets of levels, maybe 3 out of planned 5 or 6. So I guess that puts it about halfway through, but they're also doing the multiplayer. They redid the engine to Unity 5 so they could have the 64-bit operating system on it, like Kerbal did. Only it took them a fraction of the time.
Yeah, I have always got the sense that Besiege was inspired pretty heavily by Kerbal, and that they just learned faster from KSP's mistakes.
I do definitely get a Kerbal feel, especially with just how the vehicle building is, because it definitely feels like the building a rocket in the Kerbal Space Program, just the way everything snaps together.
Yeah.
And there's only a few more explosions. But I do think that it still has a ways to go until they do a full release. I want to see how they do multiplayer. Hell, I want to see how Kerbal does multiplayer. Assuming that they ever release that. Do you think that would be a DLC?
What?
Kerbal Space Program multiplayer.
I don't know. We've had several conversations over the last couple of years on multiple forums about that. And multiple podcasts. Yeah, I think so. I think eventually it will be. But they've still got a ways to get there, I think. I mean, I could be wrong. Been wrong before, but... But not a lot to talk about on Besiege, mostly because I didn't spend that much time with it, but also it's still very much in early access. But it's one of those games that it feels like they're doing early access well. If they said, okay, this is it, and released, did a little bit of bug fixing, because there's still a few little niggling things here and there. But if they said, okay, this is it, this is the final version, I wouldn't feel too bad about my money spent. It's one of those games that is done really well. And the fact that they have a workshop already going in with, let's see, according to the workshop, 110,000 items. That's a few items. Everything from just part mods to full levels. It's actually quite amazing, just the workshop in this. There's an ATST Walker. Nice. Oh, I really, really like Besiege. It's one of those games that I'm looking forward to seeing the proper release. Yeah, I think it'll be good as it continues to be developed. Well, get better. Yeah, when was the last update for this? The last update was April 7th. So not too far ago. Yeah, right at a month. Mm-hmm. I mean, they do better on updates than a lot of early access games. Yeah. That will remain nameless, except for DayZ. Yeah, DayZ does a decent enough job. I guess it's time for you to talk about your games. Yeah, I think I'll take a turn now. So I have a rather lengthy list, although a few of these games are going to go by really fast. Hang on, let me get my cards. So first up on the list is Naval Ops Commander, which I've talked about a few times before. I should say I did quite a bit of emulating, because I just moved, and for a while I didn't have internet in the office, and I didn't want to. I've got the stuff I've got like a USB wireless network card or network adapter, but I didn't want to get all that out and plug it in and make sure it works because it's kind of finicky. So I was like, yeah, I'll just do some emulation stuff. So Naval Ops Commander, I've talked about that before. This is a PlayStation 2 game where that you are the captain of a Navy vessel, and you've got 3 ships that you command, and they follow you around on your missions. It's got a big... It's a Japanese game, so it's got a big score attack component to it, and you're encouraged to... Well, not encouraged. You're forced to grind out missions in order to get enough money to get research points and new ships and stuff.
And unlock all the anime girls?
No anime girls in this one. You have to play the Warship Gunner series to get the anime girls.
Ah.
Commander was...
Actually, I could think of at least 2 or 3 anime that is... the personification of a warship, or a personification of... Well, hell, you played the visual novel of that.
Yeah.
And I got the review copy of that game when they released the nudity patch.
Oh, yeah. But anyways, I mean, the reason that I go to this game is over and over again is it's the only game that I've ever seen, this series in general, the only games I've ever seen that have a really in-depth designing aspect of the game where that you get to create your own ships. And so I'll just spend a lot of time in the design lab making different ship types. And this game has got it starts out in World War II and goes to future sci-fi craziness. So you can get lasers and ships with big drills and saw blades on them and all kinds of stuff. But I'm still in I'd say I'm in the mid 20th century, the 1950s, 1960s technology. I've got some basic ship-to-ship missiles and the very first jet aircraft and things like that. I'm only a third of the way through the campaign. So, I mean, I'm going to keep playing it. Naval Ops Commander is the game that I go back to time and time again. I play through it usually once a year or so. And I'm going to keep playing through it.
Since you love designing ships, granted it's spaceships and not warships, I'm going to suggest check out Starship Corporation.
I already own that game.
Oh, well, I didn't check to see if you own it.
I'm ahead of you there. Fun game.
Actually, I played the alpha, so I'm ahead of you.
Wah, wah. But anyways, so yeah, I mean, that's really all I have to say about Naval Ops Commander. I've talked about it a whole bunch in depth, and I'm not going to go over everything again. The next game I played, another emulated title, Front Mission 4. I've also talked about this game in a podcast previous, although I think it was 30 episodes ago. So it's been a while. Front Mission 4 is a turn-based strategy game where that it's a mech combat turn-based strategy game. And again, big design aspect. You get to build the mechs pretty much from the ground up, choose different leg styles and weapons and etc. It's got a really interesting and fairly decent story campaign. I mean, there's no multiplayer component or anything to it, but the story is actually pretty well thought out. The design aspects of the mechs are fun, and I like all the characters. It's a very long campaign, though. And it also being a Japanese game from the early 2000s is very big on wanting you to grind out extra missions and bonuses and challenges and stuff to get enough money to have the top of the line stuff for missions. So it takes a while to get through that game as well. I only played 2 or 3 hours of Front Mission 4. So I'm in the, I don't know, 4th or 5th story mission. So breeze through that one. Gran Turismo 4. I hadn't played Gran Turismo game in a while. I started a new career, and I've got 3 or 4 cars now. But I don't even drive. This is another really good podcasting and eating game. If I'm hungry and I want to play a game, listen to a podcast, and eat all at the same time, I'll fire up Gran Turismo 4. Because I just play B-Spec mode, which is where that you are a race team manager. And you don't drive, you just give general directions to your driver and manage the cars and stuff.
Stop fucking up.
Pretty much. B-Spec mode was introduced in Gran Turismo 4, so it's pretty basic. It's got nothing on Gran Turismo 5 or 6's B-Spec modes, but still, I mean, the general bit that I like is there. Just playing the manager instead of the race car driver, so... But
yeah, I think the last time I played a Gran Turismo game was Gran Turismo 2, I think.
yeah.
Oh, it's been ages. The only thing I could really remember about Gran Turismo is so many licenses.
Yes. Oh my god. Thankfully, B-Spec mode lets you skip the licensing.
Can you imagine having to try to get your driver licensed and watching them fail over and over and over again?
Yeah, that'd be terrible. Yeah, I got my start in racing games with Gran Turismo 2. Like, simulator racing games. And then I went back and played Gran Turismo 1, and then Gran Turismo 3.
Maybe I got turned off from hard simulators because I had a friend that he would win a race, and every time he would just barrel through the track and basically pinball off of walls.
Yeah, you could do that in Gran Turismo 1 and 2, but 3 put a stop to that, because if you drove into things too much or drove off of the track too much, you would either your car would actually crash or you would incur speed penalties for things like that. So they put a stop to that.
Does Gran Turismo still not have a damage model?
Later Gran Turismos do, but it's really minor. Like Gran Turismo 4 has got a damage model, but it's super minor. Like if you smack into a wall at like 100 miles an hour, you'll crack your windshield.
The blasphemy.
Yeah. Gran Turismo 5 has got a bit more of one. You can see some damage on your car, and your cars get dirty during races. I think Gran Turismo 6 has got a more fully realized damage model, something more along the lines of the Forza damage model. But nothing like Grid. Grid probably has the best damage model of a racing game I've ever seen. I mean, you could fuck your cars up in Grid.
Well, you could always go to the extreme in Beam. Beam NG, I believe it is.
I've actually never played Beam.
I've never played... Well, I played the tech demo of that. It is amazing. It's on Steam. There's Beam MG, and then there's, Wreckfest as well, or back when they were calling it New Car Game.
Yeah.
Next Car Game.
I played it back when it was Next Car Game. I had an alpha access to that back when I was writing reviews for Left Stick Down.
Yeah, just the damage modeling on Beam NG Drive is astounding. It's all soft body modeling on the car body, and it looks like you actually mangled your car.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Pretty good. And when I say pretty good, I mean like really good. Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. Like that's really good.
Granted, I think that it's still pretty much just a sandbox game. There's not a lot of racing in it.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure if they ever plan on going full racing, because it looks like they called a vehicle simulator over a racing game. But still, that's the best I could think of.
Yeah. So yeah, nothing really extra to add about Gran Turismo 4. It's just relaxing. I probably will never finish that game. So that's pretty much, that's most of the stuff that we're going to blow past. Next on my list is Factorio.
Hang on, I've got my cards.
Oh.
I'm going to start playing solitaire.
I was going to say, I thought you were going to... I was expecting like a shuffle sound or something.
There you go.
But so yeah, I finally got around to playing the 0.15 update. I'm on 0.156. I think 0.157 just came out, but I'm not swapping versions. Lot of changes. Most of them good. Couple of them that I find frustrating, but I think that they're the kind of changes that it's like some people might like and some people won't. I don't feel like anything that they did make the game objectively worse. I think it's a lot of it is a symptom of I've played this game for 250 hours this way, and now it's this other way, and I've just got to kind of get used to it again. So couple of big changes right off the top. They've done quite a few things to change the visual styling of the game. Everything, I'm not exactly sure if this is what it is, but it feels like they've upped the contrast on a lot of the colors and the menus and things, so it's easier to read stuff. It's easier to, particularly if you're on a low resolution monitor or something, or lower resolution, You can just everything's a lot more clear, easier to read. I think it's a combination of bolder fonts and then better contrast on all of the images and things. They've got a lot of redesigns on quite a few of the items in the game, like the boilers look and actually function differently than before. They've made some really positive changes in terms of like stack sizes for items, and they have it's not a, I guess overhaul would be the best way to say it. They've overhauled the entire fluid system in the game, and it's much better. All of the pipes can now carry more of everything, all of your various fuels and water and stuff. All the pipes and all of the tanks, the holding tanks, can hold much more. Now you produce steam instead of just relying on hot water, which you can store steam in tanks so that you can. It's a lot more difficult to run out of power. For example, like if you rely on steam engines or now steam turbines, which I'll get to in a minute when I talk about the nuclear power. But you can store steam in tanks so that it's much more difficult to run out if you start pulling too much from your power grid. Because before, if you start pulling a lot of power from your grid and you don't have sort of an overabundance of production, hot water production, you would very quickly run out of power because all of your steam engines would use all of your hot water and you couldn't produce enough to make up for it. But now, since you can store steam in tanks, that's a lot more difficult to do. Not impossible, but more difficult. They've changed a lot with the combat system in terms of like what weapons look like and do and their power levels. They've balanced out guns a bit more so the pistol and the machine gun don't drop off so quickly in effectiveness. You still want to replace them with better weapons, but they'll last you a bit longer now. They've added a lot of new start conditions. They've added like, I guess you could call them scenarios, but it's like the one that I picked was called Rail Start, and you get oversized resource deposits, but they're really spread out to encourage or demand rail travel, and the aliens never respawn. So if once you kill them, they don't expand and grow new bases, so that your train network doesn't wind up getting overrun by aliens because you can't protect the whole thing all the time. So that's pretty nice. And there's a bunch of different ones. And there's now options to make enemies harder. You can, by default, adjust things a lot more, in a lot finer detail, like alien spawn rates and pollution growth levels and stuff like that, so that you can really customize the difficulty to your liking. There's also options to increase the research difficulty, which basically just means that they need more stuff. Everything needs more types and larger amounts of research products to create or to research. Which I guess I could talk about it now. The research system in the game has gone through a huge overhaul. There's now, before there were 4 types of research, now there's 7. And they've changed up the recipes for everything after green science. So red and green science are still the same, but blue and purple science are completely different. And then now you have gray science and gold science. Gray science is military research, and then gold science is like what used to be what purple science was, like your top of the line science. And then you also get science, white science, from launching rockets into space. And you use that on their new sort of like treadmill game mechanic to keep you going. There's one research tree that like goes to infinity and just requires more and more and more resources to advance, and it basically just increases all of your production efficiencies by like 1% every time you research it. There's a lot of new research as well, not just the nuclear power related stuff. There's more upgrades for things like your tank and your car and for trains, so that particularly for the tank and the car, they don't become completely outclassed by power armor in the late game. They're still useful for more than just clearing trees. And then trains can get speed upgrades and braking upgrades and power upgrades so that you can use more cars and things like that. There's now specifically tanker cars so that you don't have to rely on that stupid barrel loading and unloading system to transport oil and other liquids around. You can just load them up into a tanker car. And then nuclear power. Nuclear power is freaking awesome, but God, is it hard to get to. I basically barreled down the tech tree to get nuclear power, and I was having to learn a few of the new game mechanics as I went, which probably cost me some time, but it still took me like 6 hours to get to nuclear power. I think I could probably get that down to 4 with my playstyle once I know how, or once I've got a good handle on how everything works, but man, it's expensive to research nuclear power. But nuclear power is the shit. It's amazing. I love it, and I'm never going to use any other kind of power ever again. Like, solar power is stupid by comparison. Nuclear power is super efficient, produces a ton of energy, and it's difficult to get set up. It's expensive to research, and then you have to mine. Do they just call it uranium? Or is it nuclear material? Something. It's uranium ore. That's it, uranium ore. You have to mine uranium ore. And then you have to break it down into U-235 and U-238. And then you have to create fuel cells. And then feed those into your nuclear reactor. And you have to use heat exchangers to heat up water and create high pressure steam, which powers the new steam turbines, which are something like 8 times more efficient than steam engines, and way more space efficient than solar panels. So it's a bit expensive to get set up, but once you get it going, it's well worth it. And then you can get they're called neighbor bonuses, but basically you just build a larger nuclear reactor by combining multiple smaller reactors, and they become much more efficient. Your first, like, putting 2 nuclear reactors together into one larger nuclear reactor gives you 100% efficiency bonus to your heat production, but does not increase your fuel usage. And that kind of tapers off as you add more and more together. I think 6 is where that you get no more bonuses for building larger nuclear reactors. But yeah, nuclear power, where it's at. I mean, that's the future, both in Factorio and in the real world, at least in my opinion. But that's really all I'm going to say about Factorio. I tried to condense it down as far as possible. Number 1, I have not got anywhere close to the end game yet, and number 2, I didn't want Rage to kill over. So I'm done with Factorio for now, Rage. I think he died. Okay. Well, while he finishes his game of Solitaire, I've got more games to talk about. Yeah. So next game on my list is a game called Wheelie. And Wheelie is a little kid's puzzle game. You play Wheelie, a car, and you go on adventures.
I remember him in Portal 2.
Was Wheelie in Portal 2?
Oh, that was Wheatley.
Oh, Wheatley. Okay. There actually is like some Portal stuff, like Portal reminiscent stuff that happens on one of Wheelie's adventures. So I didn't know if you were serious or not. But anyways, yeah, it's just a little kid's puzzle game. It's super easy for me, but I play it with King, and so I mean they're very age appropriate for a 3 to 4-year-old, and we have a good time. He's like, Wheelie, oh no, Wheelie crashed.
Oh no, Wheelie's burning. He's in hell.
Wheelie can die some gruesome deaths if you really think about it. Like a kid, my kid's like, haha, Wheelie's on fire, and I'm like, no, Wheelie's on fire. That's terrifying. He's burning to death. He can fall into.
It's only terrifying if he starts screaming.
He falls into acid and melts, and he can get eaten by like a dinosaur. Because one of Wheelie's adventures, he travels through time. I mean, it's just a fun little kid's game. There's nothing really special about it. I mean, I would never recommend this to anybody unless you specifically were going to play it with your kid.
Or you're stoned out of your gourd.
It might be okay if you're stoned out of your fucking mind. But I mean, I would never just play this, but it's a fun time with my kid. It's good. It's totally safe for kids. And then next on my list, I almost completely forgot about these games that I played them, so that tells you how good they are. Call of Duty Advanced Warfare. and Call of Duty Infinite Warfare. And I'm saying them together because they're basically the same game. I mean, they really are. I played them back to back. I actually had a client that I saw last week. I was filling in for another therapist, and it's really, really hard to jump in midstream after a client's been seeing someone for a while. So I get to his house, and we're talking, and he's like, yeah, no, I'm having a really good week. I was like, cool. Well, I've got to be here for 40 more minutes for this to count. And he was like, you want to play Call of Duty? And I was like, yes, I do. I do want to play Call of Duty and get paid to do so. So
I didn't know you were seeing Kyle.
But I had to see him 3 times that week, and that was the first day. So I basically played Call of Duty Advanced and Infinite Warfare for 3 days at this client's house. And I mean, they really are the same game. The campaign stuff, I'm sure, is different. I just played multiplayer on both games. But, I mean, it's Call of Duty. Advanced Warfare and Infinite Warfare are trying to copy some of the things from... what was the other shooter game where you've got the robot? Titanfall. They're trying to copy some of the stuff from Titanfall. You've got movement gear and like a little jetpack, and you can grapple walls and run along them and that sort of stuff. But this system is not as good as Titanfall, despite the fact that Advanced Warfare came out a couple years after Titanfall and Infinite Warfare another year after that. The weapons are still very clearly like, oh, this is future AK-47. This is future M16. Like that sort of thing. And they've got a few sci-fi weapons, but honestly, those weapons are the stupidest weapons in the game. And then both games are extremely exploitable. Like these kids
also known as being Call of Duty.
Yeah. The kid was like, yeah, I spent $20 on packs yesterday. I didn't get anything good out of them. I guess I'm going to have to buy some more next week when I get my allowance. I'm like,
what?
I'm like, you're 15, dude. Just sit here and play the game. You'll unlock all that stuff eventually. He's like, well, yeah, but I want to buy more packs. I tried to teach him the ways, but unfortunately, he was just too young to understand.
Oh. And this is why AAA gaming is not for me anymore, it seems.
Yeah, it's not for me either. I have Advanced Warfare. I never opened it. Like, I've had it for a year and a half. I think I got it for Christmas last year. And I never opened it. And I got home and I was like, you know what? I've only played this game for a couple of hours. Maybe I should play it for a little bit more. So I got it out. I put it in my Xbox. Spent 8 years waiting on all the updates to download and everything. Went and played it, and it's not any better when I'm playing it on my bigger TV on my couch. And also,
well, I'm sure the next Call of Duty where they're going back to World War II will be completely different.
Yeah, like I said before,
it's the past version of the M2.
I'm excited about the premise of doing that because I think it would be refreshing to have these games go back and not be about sci-fi stuff. Like we have enough sci-fi shooters,
been at least how many years since we had a major AAA title storm the beaches of Normandy?
It's been like 6 minutes, I think.
Before we started recording, I came up with the idea of how to change this up. All right? Instead of Operation Overlord, Operation Mincemeat. No. I'm not joking.
Is there an actual Operation Mincemeat?
Operation Mincemeat was the misinformation campaign that the British performed to cover up for D-Day.
Oh, interesting.
Do that in Call of Duty, the actual planned campaign. So instead of storming the beaches of Normandy, if I recall correctly, it was Greece. It was a complete misdirection to pull all of Hitler's forces away from Normandy. And it worked.
Yeah.
But can you imagine a World War II game going through Greece?
That would be fun. That'd be different, for sure.
In the Eastern, the Eastern European, without it being the Russians.
Yeah, I'm.
But, just alternate history of some of the possible battles. And not do it like Battlefield 1, where it's still... Well, this looks like it's going to be World War I, but it's just a skin, and it still plays like it's a goddamn World War II game.
Yeah. I'd actually love to see a World War II game that explores some things other than just Normandy, the Eastern Front.
Well, I understand why Normandy and Normandy, Operation Market Garden, and all the traditional maps are there. It's because those are the big set pieces. That is the big battle. Operation D-Day is the first thing that I think a good chunk of people think of when they think of a World War II battle.
Yeah, but World War II was...
And the fact that I said Operation Mincemeat and you thought I was joking.
I'd never heard of it. I mean, that's actually surprising to me because I'm a big history buff, particularly World War I and World War II. Like, I found those eras...
if I recall correctly, it was kicked off. They dropped the body of a homeless man with fake credentials in the Mediterranean and let him float around for a while to essentially, acted like, he fell off a ship or something and he was carrying classified, sarcasm quotes, information.
Yeah. You are correct. I've got the Wikipedia page pulled up for Operation Mincemeat. But yeah, I would love to see a World War II game that focused on some of the other aspects of the war that weren't the big set pieces, because there was battles all over. There was a ton of stuff that happened. But
I can't hear you fighting in Operation Market Garden.
Yeah. But anyways, back to Call of Duty Advanced and Infinite Warfare. Just the last thing that I want to say. I forgot how bad it was to play a shooter game with a controller. It has been years since I've played a first-person shooter with a controller. And it's real bad. I'm still decent at it. I mean, like, this kid, I felt so bad for this kid. Like, he was so bad at games. He was like... I told him, I was like, I play games a lot.
Was this the same one that was buying all the packs? Because that's probably the only way that he could get these guns?
Yeah. I told him, I was like, I'm mostly a PC gamer. I haven't played on controller in a while. I'm sorry if I play badly and drag the team down. And I was, like, getting double or triple this kid's score. And he was like, I thought you said you were bad. And I said, no. I said, it's been a while since I've played. I guess I just haven't forgotten as much as I thought I had. And in my head, I'm thinking, no, dude, you just really suck.
Okay,
like, you're real bad.
Since we're not getting names, what was he doing?
He wouldn't slow down. He was your typical, like, I'm going to run around and sprint at full speed and never look at anything, and I'm never going to aim, and I'm only going to pick, like, the shotguns, and I'm going to rage and blame everyone else for all my problems. And I just, like, went through and I was like, okay, this gun looks like... I love how
you just ignored that one.
What did I miss?
You said rage, and I said yes.
Oh, ha. But, I just grabbed a couple... Like, I spent the first match, like, just trying out all the different custom classes that he had, like... And tweaking a couple of things.
And trying to find the least terrible one?
Yeah. And basically I just, like, got a rifle. I don't know what it was. It's Future M16 or whatever. And I just would take my time, not sprint everywhere, check corners and things like that, and, just take it a little bit slower. And I got way more kills than this guy.
So in other words, he was doing the Call of Duty equivalent of get ball, want ball.
Pretty much, yeah. He sprinted everywhere, jetpacked everywhere, wall ran everywhere, didn't stop, just go. We played gun game, which is...
you start off with a decent gun, and every time you get a kill, you change to a different gun. And I think the last kill, at least the Counter-Strike version of it, you have to get a melee kill.
It's similar to that. You start off with a pretty good gun, and you kind of go through like a set of like you go through like several rifles, then you get several shotguns, and then SMGs, and then sniper rifles, and then you get to the special weapons. And the final weapon you have to get a kill with is the crossbow, and it's like one of the most difficult weapons to actually get a kill with.
Yeah, because you're playing on a console and you can't aim for beams.
Yeah, auto aim. I forgot all about auto aim as a thing. That's terrible. That really fucked me up.
Trust me. Whenever I hit a game that has auto aim on it, it always screws me up.
Yep, and
unless the game is specifically designed to completely fuck me over without it.
Yep, and subpar frame rates. God, it's terrible. I'm so spoiled by a constant buttery smooth 60 plus FPS. It's really hard to play a game that doesn't get 60 FPS.
The master race, my friend.
Indeed.
Mein Führer!
But so yeah, those were the two Call of Duty games. I mean, they were interchangeable. I could not tell you what the difference is between the two games.
$60.
Maybe if I played them a lot more, I could find some differences. And I'd say the campaign is where the biggest differences are. But
I'm actually, well, I guess I shouldn't say I'm shocked that there's enough of a community still on two different Call of Duty games. Because on PC, they pretty much immediately migrate to the newest one.
I mean, we've talked about this before, but
it's also a lot smaller of a group here because there's more games that you can play.
Yeah,
if I wanted to play a Call of Duty game outside of the one that I own, thanks, Kyle. It would I'd fire up Dirty Bomb.
Yeah. Oh, I do have to say that the zombies mode in Call of Duty Infinite Warfare is actually pretty good. The carnival is fun, just because it's a carnival.
I'm just not a fan of horde shooters like that.
Yeah,
the only one that I really enjoyed playing was Monday Night Combat, but that was mostly because, well, one, you had different classes that brought a lot of different stuff to the table instead of just, pick up, okay, I'll get the shotgun instead of the rifle. And, otherwise the characters are pretty much, indistinguishable. But also, Monday Night Combat had some external stuff that you could do, but it wasn't technically zombies. It was all robots, and you had to protect a point instead of just surviving.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, that's everything I have to say about the two Call of Duty games for realsies this time. I mean, they're all right, but they're actually, that's not true. They're really not. They're super bland and generic. They'd probably be all right on PC, where that they would at least run at 60 FPS and you could use a mouse. But otherwise, they're just Call of Duty game. I'm really glad I didn't buy Infinite Warfare because I was looking forward to it. You podcast listeners with good memories, I was pretty excited about Infinite Warfare because I was really glad to see Call of Duty do something different. But no, they just did something else the same.
Honestly, it sounds like if you wanted Call of Duty Infinite Warfare, go get Titanfall.
Pretty much, yeah. Titanfall did it better.
Plus, it has robots.
Oh, yeah. Giant mech robots. Infinite Warfare has a spaceship, though. I mean, that's got to count for something, right? Spaceship!
I'll give it 1/10 of 1 point.
Well, that is something.
On a 100-point scale.
It's still something. It's a little something, but it's still something.
Little something something.
Little something something. All right. Are we ready to move on to our first topic? First news topic?
I think so.
Okie dokie. Persona 5 responds to all of the criticism and updates their YouTube and streaming policy.
Yeah, this is a couple weeks old. There's not a lot of recent news going on outside of one of our topics. Mostly because I think a lot of people are gearing up for E3, which is the beginning of next month. So I think we're going to hit a bit of a lull in just news in general, unless some stupidity happens. Well, there is the whole net neutrality thing that definitely is something we need to talk about before too long.
Yeah, maybe next week. That story is still developing.
Yeah. Well, considering the FCC site was completely DDoSed by people.
Yeah. It's hard to say, though.
John Oliver.
Yeah, I guess that would be a DDoS.
It's technically correct.
It's a DDoS, yeah.
Which is the best form of correct.
Oh, yeah. But, so yeah, I mean, they just responded, Atlas just responded, and says, hey...
Yeah, they did extend the deadline, or the due date, or whatever. The end game date back a few months, but the thing is that it's still about halfway through the game. But here's the thing: is that they were saying that we weren't threatening bullshit.
Yeah,
they were threatening copyright strikes. That is a fucking threat, you dumb motherfuckers.
Yeah, they're using this to backpedal that statement.
It was never our intention to threaten people with copyright strikes. Then don't put it in your goddamn press releases.
Yeah, then don't say that we're threatening you with copyright strikes.
I mean, here's the thing, is that it's not and unless you're the president, these press releases go through a fair number of people, so they are scrutinized. It's not something that is just thrown out there willy-nilly. And this was a damn threat, and they were backpedaling hard. But the thing is that, there's still the threat there, because, they're saying, well, you shouldn't stream or post videos beyond this certain date, otherwise we may come after you. This just pisses me off, and makes me kind of glad that I don't have a console, so I'm the temptation is even there to play this game.
Yeah.
I tried playing Persona 4 and I just couldn't get through the intro. Oh.
Yeah, I've played... Which Persona game have I played? 2?
I
or
played
3?
I played like 2 or 3 hours of the intro of Persona 4, and I was still on the very, very linear visual novel segment. It's like, oh, come on. I realize this is a JRPG, but there's AAA games out there that are shorter than the intro of this game.
Yeah, I'm looking to see which was the last Persona game on PS2. Because that's the one that I've played. It was the
Pretty
last...
sure that's 4, because they went... Or maybe... No, it is 4, because I was playing it on the PS2 emulator.
Okay, I thought Persona 4 was on PS3, but...
No, there's technically a PS3 emulator, but it's not very stable yet.
Okay. Yeah, then I've played Persona 4 a bit, but honestly, I don't remember anything about the game. Like, that's how... I didn't finish it, and I played it for, 15, 20 hours, and then I just stopped because I lost interest.
I played probably about 2 or 3 hours, and I was still in the intro.
Yeah, the intro lasts for a long time.
This just shows you just how out of touch this company is, though. Saying that, well, we weren't meaning to threaten people. Yeah, we just said that we were going to go after you with copyright strikes. We're going to unleash the power of the DMCA on you.
Hooray, DMCA. And when I say hooray, I mean fuck DMCA. Yeah, that's really all I have to say about it. I mean, we knew it was going to be a short topic, but we talked about the first part. Figured we
just wanted the angry pants on after a couple weeks of being away.
Yeah. I always like them angry pants.
Oh, my. Yeah, this may be a short episode just in general. We'll see.
That's okay. You guys got an extra, hour and 15 or 20 minutes last time. I mean, granted, it was all about Life is Strange, but you could have played 2 episodes of Life is Strange in the time that it took us to talk about the whole game. Yeah,
but then they wouldn't have played Life is Strange. But speaking of playing about video games...
Yeah.
Esports will become an Olympic sport in 2022, that's the Winter Olympics, and that's something I didn't realize at first. I mean, it kind of makes sense. It's still a little... it's a little strange just in general to think of Olympic sport esports. Granted, this article doesn't really talk about what games in general... They did state FIFA 17 would be one of the competitions alongside MOBA and RTS games. Which, FIFA 17, that has an esports scene?
Yeah, it does, actually. The FIFA games have had an esports scene for a while.
I guess that's more of a European and Asian thing, because in North America, FIFA is nothing, but I imagine that it's absolutely huge in other markets.
FIFA's pretty big here in North America, too. I mean, it's definitely not as large as, say, Madden, but it's got a pretty strong presence. I know quite a few people, actually, who love FIFA. Katie's one of them. FIFA's one of the only games that Katie plays. But, I mean, she's a huge fan of football. She played in college and high school, so she's got an actual connection. She's pretty decent, too. I mean, when it comes to, the technical aspect of the game and, talking about things and, noticing things, she's really good at that. Mm-hmm. But because she's not a big gamer, she lacks some of the...
motor skills?
Yeah, some of the gaming motor skills to play effectively. So even though I don't know shit about soccer, I can... after I get warmed up, I can usually beat her. It makes her so mad. She's like, why do you have to be so good at games? This is the one thing, sports is the one thing and I'm better at you at. And then you have to come in here and ruin my sports game.
let's see. Well, they also mentioned League of Legends, Dota 2, and StarCraft 2. Which StarCraft 2's esports scene is on the decline, as far as I've been able to hear.
Yeah, as far as I can tell, StarCraft 2's not on its way out, but it's definitely receding from the limelight. Yeah.
Which, the other two, those are the two monster esports scenes, in League of Legends.
But
so I could definitely see those two.
I'm not banking too strongly on anything in this list.
This is one of these things that it seems so strange, but then they're ping pong at least was. I'm not sure if it still is. Was at the Olympics.
It is. It still is.
So it's one of those things that it makes sense overall, but it's because of I guess the stereotypes maybe.
Yeah, well,
it's easy to think of esports separate from traditional sports. I don't want to call it real sports because then you start getting into the poker paradox of poker's a sport.
Yeah,
but you don't call them athletes, but it's still a sport.
It makes perfect sense to me. I mean, this has happened in the Olympics for the last century and a half since they returned in the 1800s. I mean, just modern competition gets added to the Olympics over time. I'm sure it was weird when baseball was added to the Olympics 100 years ago, but now we don't even think about it. Oh yeah, absolutely. Baseball is a sport that should be in the Olympics. So, like you said, we've added ping pong. There's badminton, Olympic badminton, water polo. Water polo seems like a weird sport to me, but it's there. And
that's just there to get the casual nudity.
Yeah, well. But, there's tons of stuff that you don't think of as and I'm making air quotes, traditional sports that are in the Olympics. And esports have been growing over the last decade pretty steadily. And there's becoming more and more games that fall into the esports category. And now there's a whole sector of the industry dedicated to it.
I guess it's just one of those things that esports still feels like an outsider in general when it comes to competition. Whenever you think of professional competition, esports and traditional sports feel like two completely separate things, and the Olympics always felt like it's been more of a focus on the traditional sports. Granted, then you get into the weird ones like ping pong, but I could definitely see it there, but it still feels a little odd because of it. And also maybe just because of the fact that it's also in the Winter Olympics whenever my mind is thinking, skiing.
Well,
or watching someone hurtle down a frozen chute at 58 miles an hour.
Yeah. Or, what's the thing where that they, push the puck and scrape the ice?
Hockey?
No, not hockey.
Curling?
Yeah, curling.
I was going to say, if you can't think of hockey, then you have a problem.
No, curling,
especially with Kyle.
Curling is a really weird sport, but it's there. So, yeah, it makes sense to me. But what I was saying is, I'm not banking on any of the games that are listed because that's in 5 years.
Yeah, true.
Who knows what? Because the gaming market is relatively volatile compared to other markets and other. Sports.
Well, who knows what the esports scene just in general is going to do in 5 years as well? Because that's the thing is that, and probably another reason why I'm balking at this just a little bit is that there's rising stars that pop up just overnight. Just there's a little bit of an esports scene with Clash Royale.
Yeah.
And that came out of nowhere. So, how are they going to try to determine what games?
I'd say for this go-around, they'll stick to the really heavy hitters, which is probably why they've said what they have, Dota, and League of Legends, and StarCraft.
Okay, well, here's the problem. Why are they considering at the time 5-year-old sports game?
Yeah, I don't get FIFA 17. That does not make sense. But the other games
I'm assuming that they mean just FIFA in general and have it be FIFA 20 probably 2021. or
Yeah.
because of how time works, or whatever they decide to call FIFA in 5 years. But it's one of those things that I would think that the Olympics would require something to be a little bit more stable than the esports scene, because we are talking about how StarCraft 2 is on the decline. Where is it going to be in 5 years if Blizzard can't do something to revitalize it? Or if StarCraft 3 somehow comes out in 5 years? And once StarCraft 2 came out, this esports scene for StarCraft 1 was pretty much gone outside of the extreme edge cases of it in, well, let's call it South Korea.
Yeah.
So, what?
I love how you're like, let's call it something out of thin air, South Korea. Like, the obvious answer.
But that's the thing, is that are they going to be set on, okay, we're going to do StarCraft 2. Oh, crap, StarCraft 2 is no longer relevant. It's, some other RTS, or it may not even be an RTS in, a few years. It's just one of those things that, where will they try to draw the line? Where will they try to find the stability of, an Olympic sport?
Yeah. Who knows? Who knows?
And also, these games are very different from one another, so you can't say, okay, well, we're just going to have the blanket esports, and, we're going to throw, let's throw console Call of Duty in. Oh.
Woohoo! Let's not do that.
Console Call of Duty has a heavy esports scene, surprisingly enough.
Yeah.
Because, any game that has a bunch of auto aim in it definitely has an esports scene.
Yeah.
But then again, what can I say? Because Hearthstone has an esports scene, and that has a bunch of RNG in it. Even more so than a traditional card game. Oh, there we go. We should have Magic the Gathering be an Olympic sport.
I actually would love to see that.
Just the commentary. Can you imagine trying to do commentary of Magic the Gathering with how complicated that game is?
That would be interesting. Especially
if they get a commentator that is trying to bullshit his way through it.
Oh, it looks like they're going to tap that land. Really, really tapping that land. Oh, they're going for the big one. Oh, 4 land they're tapping. Look at that, 4 land. This is going to be a big play. Oh, it got countered immediately. And now we wait.
I activate my trap card.
Oh.
I shouldn't take the piss out of this so much, because I do like seeing esports get recognition like this, but at the same time, it's one of those things that they need to have it be more stable than what it is for me to really think that it's going to really gain a mass acceptance. And right now, esports is very volatile.
Yeah.
And also, a lot of the problems with esports is that it's not that great of a spectator sport. We've talked about this before, where esports, the games that are traditional for esports, are very, very complex. Let's just use StarCraft 2 as an example. Talking about various builds, various army compositions. That requires a very specialized commentator.
Yeah.
And that's not even getting into, just general tactics as well.
Yeah. And unlike other sports, it's very difficult to just pull a pro, and make them a commentator, because the games will change. I mean, it's possible that one day we could see a game that's like, this game becomes a specific sport unto its own. StarCraft 2 is probably the closest we've gotten to that, but time will tell if that actually lasts.
Alright, let's just make Rocket League the Olympic esport.
Rocket League would be I would watch I probably wouldn't watch the Olympics of StarCraft, but I absolutely would watch the Olympics of Rocket League. It'd be amazing.
It'd be video game figure skating, essentially. Because some of the really skilled Rocket League players are just absolutely insane.
Fucking insane, yes. I wish I was half that good. Jeez.
I wish I was an 8th.
Yeah.
Someone just doing an aerial, bounce it off their car, bounce it off the wall, bounce it off the ground, onto their car again, and into the goal. And that's just the ones you see on Reddit.
Yeah.
Hey, once I actually hit the ball even close to where I was aiming.
Yeah. Man.
So, do we really have anything else to say about this other than it does seem a little bit strange, but it's nice to see esports getting recognition?
No, I don't think I have anything else to add.
I think, in around 2020, where things are starting to really solidify for 2022, I think that's when we'll see a definite list of what games will be there. And I do think that they need to make sure that is diverse because, they're talking about 2 MOBAs, well, at least on this list, 2 MOBAs, a sports game, and RTS. And that doesn't, for one, you don't have any shooters at all, which seems a little strange because you do have quite a few different shooters with a heavy esports scene. Just Counter-Strike. Counter-Strike has an absolutely insane esports scene behind it. Granted, Valve does promote the ever-living hell out of it, so you have Counter-Strike. I did take the piss out of Call of Duty, but yeah, Call of Duty's esports scene as well. Battlefield has a couple. Granted, those are usually funded by EA, but yeah, I'd like to see different genres. Just not have the blanket esports and have the 2 MOBAs and RTS, which is essentially the grandfather of MOBAs. And let's pick a random sport game.
Am I picking?
But what would you pick?
FIFA. Since we talked about it, I'll pick FIFA.
All right. Well, are we moving along?
Yeah. Let's go ahead and move along. Actually, I think it's time for a bathroom break and a coffee refill break. And we're back from our little break, and I picked up some chocolate along the way.
And I had a banana.
Yeah.
And a banana nut muffin. Actually, just a small banana nut muffin.
I really like banana nut muffins. They're one of my favorite kinds of muffins. Right after blueberry.
I think my favorite is lemon poppy seed.
They're okay. I'm not a big fan of like the seeds, the texture that you get in your muffin. Just not a big fan of that, but they're not bad. I would eat one if someone gave it to me and was like, "Hey, have this muffin." I'd be like, "Thank you very much."
And then immediately fail your drug test.
Yeah, fail all my drug tests.
No, I swear it was the muffin. I test positive for muffin, not that.
So next on the topic list, Steam. They're making more changes again. We've got several articles that we kind of rolled into one topic.
Yeah, Steam decided, let's break our vow of silence and have 3 fairly decent-sized blog posts.
Yep, I'm open them all right
covering now. A fair variety of topics. Let's start. I think the one we should start with is the how they changed the gifting system.
Okay, let me pull that one to the
because this is actually a pretty big change.
Yep, I'll let you go through it as you usually do.
Okay, this is a short one. The other 2 are too long to read, so I'll read this one verbatim.
Okay.
This was released on May 3rd, so a week ago. Today we're announcing changes to the gifts on Steam. The gifting process has had a bunch of friction in it for a while, and we want to make it easier for you to share games you love with your friends. Oh, sorry. Okay, I did laugh there, because especially with some of the changes they did. Steam gifting will now be a system of direct exchange from the gift buyer to gift receiver, and we'll be retiring the gift to email and gift to inventory options. Here's a quick breakdown of the benefits of the new system. Oh wait, I'm supposed to read these.
I was gonna say, are you making a joke? Are you waiting on something?
Yes. No, I was making a joke.
All right.
Scheduled gifts is even more straightforward. Go ahead and buy a gift months in advance and have it delivered to a friend on time every time. Yeah, because they won't buy the game in the months in advance. But declined gifts resolve the way they should. In the old system, a declined gift would sneak its way back to the gifter's inventory and remain on the bill. Now a receipt will automatically the recipient has the title, or if they don't want it, they can click decline and the purchase is refunded directly to the giver, which I agree with that one. That is a good change.
Yeah, I agree on that one.
Save cross-country gifting. No worrying about if a gift to email or gift to inventory is going to work for a friend. Gifts sent through the new system will always work on the receiver's account. When there's a large difference in pricing between countries, gifting won't be available and you'll know about it before purchase. That's where the sticking point is. And probably why they changed this. And, it's just these changes are now available. Let us know, blah, 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 blah. The gifting across regions has been a sticky subject for quite a while because of region locks. For those who don't know, region locks makes it so that if a game is locked in a particular region, you literally can't get it at times. There are sometimes there's ways around it, but for the sake of this, let's just call it a complete lockout. And this makes it so that pricing is what is locking out gifting. Which, that is a huge change. And one I definitely don't like, because the percentage of price could differ between regions. And on top of that, different regions have different pricing in general. Typically, the regions that are poor, for lack of a better term, will have a lower price. And now, if someone buys a game there, they can't gift it to someone here. Or there's been some people reporting that even between EU and North America, because of a difference in the euro to dollar and different percentage offs, they've been locked out of gifting across those regions. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I dislike these changes except for their second point.
Yeah, that's how it should have been to begin with.
Yeah, I mean, I'm probably not going to give as many gifts anymore, because I'll usually buy games on sale and just stick them in my inventory. And whenever I
can't do that anymore.
Yeah, and whenever I see a friend who's like, they want that game, like, because I check it periodically, and it's like, oh, I've got this game, I'll gift it to my friend or to a podcast listener. Or, I mean, we can't do the giveaways anymore without people being friends with me on Steam, which is not a huge problem. But if our audience grows, I mean, even now, though, our audience, I'm sure there's people who aren't friends with me from our audience. I can't give them a gift anymore. I can't email it to them. I mean, maybe they don't want to be my friend. And that's okay.
Don't worry, I'll be your friend.
Oh, thanks. But I mean, that's okay.
I'll even come up with a weird word every week.
Oh, aren't you just the cutest? But, maybe they don't want a big friends list, or, to them I'm a stranger, and why would they be friends with a stranger? Like, I totally get that. But now this means that I can't gift them games on Steam, because, they can't give me their email address or somewhere else that I can send them the key to. So, I don't like any of this.
I think I understand. I think I understand where they're coming from on this. I'm going to play a little bit of devil's advocate here. Don't get me wrong.
That's pretty rare for you.
Well, I usually try to at least see where they're coming from. Granted, I usually get pissed off and don't articulate that, but still. I think this comes pressure from the publishers, because they see people gifting across regions quite a bit. And they're trying to... the big point here is I think they're trying to nip gray markets in the bud.
Yeah.
And that's where this is going to hit them. Is that a lot of the legitimate side of the gray market, not the, bullshit, steal a credit card, buy a bunch of copies of a game, and launder the money through bullshit, gray market sites. The legitimate side of that was people buying a few copies when they're on sale, or dozens of copies when they're on sale in a lower price region, and selling them to a higher price region, still at a discount compared to the higher price region, but still at a decent enough markup to make it worthwhile. So I think that's where this is coming from, is trying to nip that in the bud more than anything else. But this is also coming down to punishing the legitimate users to do that. And one of the things that Gaben was talking about to prevent piracy was make it so that legitimate customers, it was easier for them to just buy the game and play it than to pirate it. And I think, this is going against that principle.
Yeah, I think this is a step in the wrong direction. Maybe not the opposite direction. I'm not 100% sure. But it is a sidestep. Yeah, definitely a sidestep.
And it's just one of those things that I understand where they're coming from. I don't like it. I think the scheduling is okay, but I think they're going to see a lot less people buying games.
I mean, you could already schedule gifts. That already existed.
Yeah, but now you don't have to worry about being in your inventory and just sitting there. I mean, I guess that would if there's a game in your inventory scheduled in the old system, people would be able to see. It's like, well, why do you have that in your inventory? But it's just they're cutting off their leg to try to get a splinter out of their toe.
Yeah.
And this isn't RimWorld. It doesn't work like that.
Nope. Okay, the next one. Which one do you want to do next?
Well, my next one is the Steam support.
Okay.
Which this is a massive thing. I'll let you take this one since if there's a point on this you want to talk about, because a lot of this is just talking about the number of requests they had per day and trying to resolve that.
Yeah, you just want to hit the headings for each section.
Hit the headings.
So yeah, the first heading. Well, I mean, initially they're just like, "Hey, we've heard from you guys. Here's our stats." The first one was help.
This was released on May 2nd, by the way.
Yeah, so a little over a week ago. The first topic, or their first header, is help requests and backlog. And they're just talking about how they receive so many requests per day. And they're saying they receive around 75,000 help requests a day.
Yeah,
which is a ton.
Yeah, and they currently end up with around 8,000 requests waiting for responses at most times. Which, I realized that they must have had a huge flood of traffic, but never got 75,000. Especially with the current systems with the refund being automated. Because I imagine that took a huge chunk out of their support tickets.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of their support, at least it was, automated as well. I mean, there were quite a few bots that had standard responses that they gave to people for the most common support requests.
Please stand by, human.
Yeah.
Praise Gaben.
But, I mean, that's still a lot more than I thought. I was thinking somewhere around half that number, like the 35 to 40,000 mark was how many they got per day, which is still a ton, but, I mean, that's a very tiny, percent of a percent compared to the overall active daily users, so...
let's see, the active for today was right at 12 million.
Yeah, so let me just pull up my calculator, my handy-dandy calculator here. Let's see, 75,000, 12. Boop. That is 0.006%.
Yep.
Of active users from today.
And that's assuming one ticket per user. Because I imagine a few of these are, why haven't you responded to my ticket?
Yeah, I've been guilty of that with Steam. Although, to be honest, back in the day when it would take days or weeks or months to receive a response. So anyways, the second header is they're talking about their response time. And like you just said, their automated refund policy, they make mention like a huge number of requests have been related to refund policies.
I wonder just how big a spike they had in traffic with No Man's Sky.
Oh, I mean, it was huge. I know it was huge. We talked about it. They made an announcement like, look,
they had to put it on the store page.
Yeah, they put it on the store page.
Which, I wish I could see a graph of, their normal traffic and just the release of No Man's Sky.
Yeah.
But then again, I'm an evil person. What can I say?
In this section, they talk about adding a few more self-help stuff, like some account self-help account recovery stuff, and dealing with some potential like phishing and things like that.
Yeah, which that's the other thing, is that there's a lot of Fisher bots out there. And that's something that I think Valve has not really addressed, is just how easy it is to set up dozens or hundreds of Steam accounts, pay $5, and then just let them just run rampant.
I've never encountered a Fisher bot for Steam.
Oh, play TF2 at all. Have something from decent from TF2 in your inventory. Have something decent from Dota or Call of Duty. If you play Call of Duty, you'll get a bunch of them as well. But from Counter-Strike, have a decent item from Counter-Strike, where the market has really taken off for these games. You'll get people trying to just phish you or trying to trick you into trading off your decent items. It's ridiculous.
I have had people contact me about trades and stuff when I've had a few rare things in my inventory, but I didn't think that they would be like, it didn't seem like a phishing attempt. It did seem like they were trying to scam me out of my cards, but I guess I just think of phishing as just like someone trying to get your account information, and maybe that's just like from my computer science days.
Or maybe I'm being a little overgeneral on my terms there, because I probably am putting scamming and phishing into the same category, but it's the same basic idea of trying to take something from another person.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
But there's definitely fishers out there, proper fishers that are trying to get accounts that have a lot of stuff on them as well.
Yeah.
And this is not even accounting, I'm sure my account would be a tempting target just with the number of games on it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure mine would be too. But yeah, I've never been contacted by anyone trying to scam me out of my account or posing as a Valve support or anything like that.
I haven't gotten the Valve support ones, but those are out there as well.
Honestly,
they used to be.
If I got an email that was from Valve support, I would automatically think that it was a scammer, because they never they were so bad at responding to stuff before. And why would they proactively email me?
Would do a pop-up window in the Steam client itself.
Yeah.
Because I've actually had that come up a couple of times due to review copies. A couple of companies I've had review copies from, they've they pulled the licenses improperly. So it came up as acted like a reverse payment on them.
Okay.
So I had that error message come up a couple of times. Freaked me the fuck out the first time it came up, because it's like, wait, what the hell is this? So yeah, there's that lovely thing, but it's Steam support is always through the client itself. They don't do emails.
Yeah.
Well, not counting, the two-factor authorization, of course. But even that is, for me, through the mobile client.
Yeah. The final part of this is that they go on to say that they've got their response time down to under 24 hours for like 98% of requests. Which that's pretty good. I'll give them, credit where credit's due. They're finally behaving like a proper company should.
Yeah, it's a shame that it's come to this point, though, that they had to they had to make a special blog post about this.
Yeah,
this should have been baseline. 24 hours, I think, is the absolute minimum acceptable. It's not good, definitely not good, but it's acceptable.
Yeah, I was going to go look at my most recent Steam support request to see what their response time was, but it has been cleared. There's none there, so I don't know.
What, you could read hieroglyphics?
Yeah, I can. And Latin. I speak Latin.
I only speak English and bad English.
I sent him something before, around Christmas or New Year, that I actually never got a response to. But that's all been cleared out. I guess they just remove old tickets after a certain amount of time. I sent them like three things. And
that was
I
the
just
No
gave
Man's
up.
Sky, wasn't it?
No, this is for a different game. Honestly, I don't remember what game it was. Like, it was a game I was trying to play, but it was broken. And I was past the refund window.
I remember you talked about this, but I don't recall the game.
Yeah, I don't recall the game either. But I sent,
obviously it's not very important.
No, it was like super cheap. I just was gonna see if there was like if I could get a refund on it, even though it's past because the game is broken, or if they could do something to help me, because I was having a weird compatibility issue that I couldn't figure out, and I wasn't getting a response from the game's developers either on their forums. So,
game's dead, yo.
But I just gave up. I don't remember what game it was. So that's how many shits I gave. The last thing they go on to say on this entry is that we're going to do better. We're continuing to strive to do better, and we're hiring more staff and things, and better. We're better. Emphasize that a bit. So, I mean, good for them. Like we just said,
Steam support has been a butt of jokes for ages, so it's good to see them actually working to improve it. The thing is, it's easy for them to improve it now, but if they they continue to see the growth that they've had in the past several years, and with the Steam Direct system, where you're going to see a lot more games. Can they keep this up?
Their track record suggests to me no, but hey, more power to them.
Do we have the number 3 involved in any way?
I don't know. I don't think so. So they can probably do it.
Steam support episode 1. But it's just been one of those things that it shouldn't have gotten to this point to begin with. There's no excuse for it.
Yeah.
So should we move on to the last part? The Steam Store, our philosophy, and the next steps.
Yep.
This mostly ties into a new feature that's been deployed on the Steam Store. The reason why you may like this game, which is an interesting little sub window that they have. But they do talk about their philosophy of the type of gamers that you would see on the Steam Store and trying to cater to all of them. And I'm not sure if they should be trying to focus on all of these because I just keep thinking of you try to please everyone, you're going to please no one.
Yeah. But, I mean, how do you this is seems like an impossible task.
Yeah, these are very diverse. To answer that, we need to look at all the different kinds of players who use Steam. Players who are tightly connected with the online gaming community and conversations, and players who are totally unconnected. Players who browse the store looking for a game, and players who arrive already knowing the title that they're looking for. Players who come to the store once a month. Players who visit multiple times a day. Players who want to buy the latest AAA game. Players who want to search for hidden gems. Players who want to play titles earlier in their development and get involved with the evolution. Players who want games with specific attributes, such as the type of gameplay, support for a specific technology, or translations in their local language. Developers with AAA titles that have large existing fan bases. Developers who are rarely known, yet have a game that would be a hit if players found it. Developers who want to build deliberately niche games and have them find that niche audience. Or developers who want to get their community feedback earlier in the development process. How do you cater to all of this?
Well, you hire a wait staff, or call your local restaurant.
Make sure you have the vegan option.
And a vegetarian one. Then you're good to go.
Don't forget gluten-free.
Nah, fuck that.
But this all boils down to... This is an exceptionally long post. This is longer than the other two combined.
Yeah.
Really ties into a new section on the Steam Store where it talks about usually two, sometimes one, depending on just how unique the game is. Games that you've played, assuming that you've played games that fit into this category, and user reviews, and they try to bring the curators into more, into more focus with this, because the curation system is just ridiculous. It's not used at all, and not just by our podcast.
No.
The curation system, it's one of those systems that Valve has made and then just kind of just left it adrift and haven't really touched it since. So they're trying to make it a little bit more relevant with the curators also showing up in this, but I'm not sure if the curators are really matter in this. It's mostly tying into, okay, this game, you may like it because you played Left 4 Dead and Tomb Raider, so you may like this shooter. But my problem with the related games is that it relies on the tag system.
Yeah. So I just pulled up Call of Duty Advanced Warfare because, we talked about it earlier. And it says, is this game relevant to you? Similar games you've played. Now, I own a couple of Call of Duty games. I have many hours with them on record, particularly Black Ops. Black Ops is not on this list. You want to know what games it recommends or that it's saying that are similar? BioShock 2 and BioShock Remastered.
Okay.
Call of Duty Advanced Warfare is not at all like those two games, except that you shoot guns.
Yeah, let's see. I'm just heading to the Steam store page. They have the PC port of Animation Throwdown, Quest for Cards, essentially Fox Animation mobile cash grab card game. You'd expect card games on this. And I've played quite a few card games, especially on Steam. Is this game relevant for you? This game doesn't look like any other things you've played in the past. As such, we don't have much information on whether or not you might be interested in this game. Now, never mind the fact that I was playing Feria earlier, which is also a card game.
Yeah.
All right, let's grab another one at random on the Steam store front page. Oh, let's go. Well, this DLC for Farming Simulator 17. Let's go to Farming Simulator 17, the main page. Care to guess the games?
Farming Simulator.
Is this game relevant to you? It gave me two games. Two games that I have more than 15 hours in.
Euro Truck Simulator?
Yes.
And Euro Truck Simulator 2?
No, well, Euro Truck Simulator 2 and Spin Tires. Never mind the fact that I have quite a few hours in Stardew Valley.
Yeah.
Granted, different style of farming, but it's a lot more relevant than Spin Tires.
Yeah, although I think Spin Tires and Euro Truck are closer than BioShock is to Call of Duty.
Or let's see. Let's grab another one on the Steam front page. Let's see. Top sellers. Prey. This ought to be good. Descent Underground. Really? Descent Underground. I'm pretty sure that's just a game that I've idled off the cards.
So I just also clicked one at random. I clicked Hitman, the complete first season. Is this game relevant to you? Check mark, because you've played games tagged single player. Oh, that's lovely. I love that.
This. Oh, okay. Hey, here's one that actually kind of works. Divinity Original Sin 2. You may like this because you played Divinity Original Sin.
That works.
And Valkyria Chronicles.
That works.
Now, this has kind of turned into Discovery Queue, hasn't it?
Words WMD. Is this game relevant to you? Check mark, because it's in the top sellers. Oh, yeah, check mark, because it's already on your wish list. Okay, yeah, that makes sense why it's relevant to me. It's in my wish list.
I'll allow it.
Yeah, I'll allow that one.
But this is the problem with the system, is that it relies on the tag system, and the tag system is notoriously used as the butt of jokes. As a matter of fact, on Reddit just earlier today, there was a father or mother, they didn't say which. They were browsing for games with their kid, and they were browsing family-friendly games to pick up one. And Porn Tycoon was on the list because someone made the joke of, it's family-friendly, ha ha ha. Yeah. And yes, there's actually a game on Steam called Porno Tycoon.
Oh, yeah, no, I know there is. It's on my wish list.
I signed up for a review copy of it, so I think I got one up on you on it. Granted, nice. I haven't gotten it yet. We'll see if I do. But it's relying on a system that is essentially broken and uses the butt of jokes.
Yeah.
So that's why I have a little bit of hesitance on how useful this is going to be.
I wish that it would rely... I mean, I like it. I like the concept, the idea, but I wish it would rely more on your friends have this game or focus exclusively on... You've played games like this that are similar to it, but don't use the tags. Go more by maybe genres or...
Well, that's the problem, is that's still a tag. But,
or even another, like... I mean, it can't be that hard for Steam to create or for Valve to do something. I mean... Well, no, it would be, because it would require a couple of people to sit down and go through and create this thing.
I would hate to be the intern that would have to go through and tag games individually on Steam.
Well, I mean, there's gotta be...
I can't even keep up on my library. And I have less than 10% of the Steam library total.
Yeah.
Let's see. I'm just browsing around some more. Let's see. Ukulele is on my front page. Let's see what that one suggests. That one doesn't even. It says it's very positive. And one person recommends it on my friends list, and one person wants this game. Can you guess who that is?
Me.
And 5 people own it. But yeah, it's one of those things that it's a good first step, but Valve needs to flesh this out a lot more, and Valve has a tendency to not do that. Boy, I'm really coming down nasty on this, aren't I?
Yeah, here's one that works. Reality or / Reality. It's a visual novel, sort of choose your own adventure style game. And it recommends this one to me because I've played. I mean, it's got a couple of these different visual novel type games.
Yeah, but that's the easy one for you. I mean, if they pick 2 random games out of your library, what are the odds that they will hit a visual novel?
Probably
pretty damn good.
Probably pretty good. It's like survival crafting game and visual novel are like 2 pretty big categories in my library. And space sim or something like that. That's another big one.
Let's see.
I added it to my wish list though. It looked good. It did. It looked good.
Well, on the front page, they have one of the. No, I'm blanking on the name of the choice of games game. Yeah, the just novel games.
Yeah,
and they completely ignore the fact that I have one of theirs.
Oh,
so it's one of those things that it's definitely a good first step, but it's bare bones at best.
Yeah, needs some work. Now, let's see if they actually will continue to develop it, or if it'll fall by the wayside like so many of their other projects.
So many? I think you mean pretty much all.
Yeah, pretty much all. All right, are we ready to move on to our next topic?
Think so. Which wouldn't that be the community corner?
It is. So, we received one text letter this week from our dear friend, Mr. Jim3535, and I will pull that up, and we will go through it.
Yeah, this is in relation to the Random Franken episode that I released last week.
Yeah. How much should we read and stop and talk? Do you just want me to read through the whole thing?
Yeah. Let's just read until we hit a talking point, then I'll continue on from there.
Okay. There's been a lot of controversy about ethics and gaming journalism, or the lack of it. It would be great if things did improve, but there's a fundamental conflict of interest that will remain until they find a different business model. Game journalists typically rely on ad revenue, which relies on getting as many readers or viewers to consume their content as possible. As with a news cycle, there's a huge incentive to be first, or at least early, to publish. People will find what reviews are out when they go looking, so a blog that waits a week to do a more thorough job will miss out on the majority of the views because people move on.
Yeah, and that's a very good point. Matter of fact, there was a article that I was thinking about putting on the docket, but didn't. That It's one of the rare good ones from Kotaku, which may have been enough reason to put on the docket, talking about how Bethesda's review policy with Prey is definitely hurting it, because reviewers are having to rush through Prey, a game that really pays off a lot more if you have time to play it.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing, really. Well, even more so with Prey, just because there's no review embargo. That it's all rush, trying to get that review out as quickly as possible, because those first clicks are what's really important to drive the traffic.
Yep. And I mean, I'm going to wait to see if TB or Jim Sterling does a review of Prey, or, for TB, a WTF is. But, I mean, you and I, like we've said a million times before, are not the average gamer.
Yeah.
So.
Granted, my skill is below average, but still.
Well, that's still not average, so it counts.
Unless it's RimWorld, that somehow I'm like some sort of idiot savant at that. I don't know. I don't understand.
Well, we've all got our games. I've got Factorio. You've got RimWorld.
Yeah, and Big Groove Hall things. And let's do them one. It's beautiful.
Oh, Groove.
But there's also the flip side of this. It's I don't think he mentions that, is that gaming sites also have to try to cozy up to publishers to try to get those precious review copies.
He sort of talks about that a little bit later in the next couple of paragraphs.
Okay, well, we'll go into that, then we'll talk about this entire point in general then.
Okay, I'll keep reading. Game publishers sending out review copies and having embargo dates partially solves the problem of rushed reviews, but it introduces another huge issue, which is where he brings this up. It gives game publishers the power to pick the winners and losers. They can decide who gets review copies and who doesn't. Journalists that don't get them are at a major disadvantage, especially if some outlets are allowed to publish content before the game is released. If publishers,
IGN first.
Yeah. IGN and Eurogamer, those are two big offenders of that. If publishers had integrity, this might not be an issue. However, putting out bad reviews can get journalists blacklisted from getting regular review copies. This could have major repercussions for the journalist and may even put them out of business. So, there's a strong incentive to not get blacklisted. Sometimes they will downplay faults, try to put positive spin on reviews, or do other things that makes the game seem better than it really is. Publishers love this situation because it allows them to control the narrative before launch. They can place restrictions on what aspects can be reported on, what areas of the game may be played, etc. The current trend seems to be to push for pre-orders and day one sales as much as possible.
Yeah, I think that's a good stopping point right there. Is that
okay?
Well, the biggest one I could think of just off the top of my head for a game that really didn't need it was Shadow of Mordor.
Yeah.
Because you couldn't talk about any bugs. You had to put the game in a positive light, and they only gave it to streamers that signed off on their non-disclosure. Well, non-disclosure may not be the proper term for it, but their contract to get it early. Otherwise, you're not getting it until launch.
Yeah. And, Shadow of Mordor was a great game that was well reviewed anyways. But, it didn't need that stuff. And it kind of continues to perpetuate the situation, like companies or games that do need it, like any Assassin's Creed game from the last 5 years, or any Bethesda game ever. That's...
Well, it's not like Bethesda is actively blocking all their review. Oh, wait.
Yeah, it's not like Bethesda is waiting till the last second to send review copies so that, oh, wait, that is what they're doing, aren't they?
That's the thing, is that the average gamer doesn't care about this, so Bethesda could get away with it.
Yeah.
And the average gamer doesn't care that Skyrim is a buggy piece of shit on launch. Because, it's Skyrim.
My Elder Scrolls game. Yeah.
It's very disappointing to see this trend. And, you were talking about how your client was talking about, just dropping $20 on digital cards, essentially.
Yeah, they're called supply drops in Advanced Warfare.
Well, they're card packs.
They are. They
absolutely are.
But...
And not being upset that he got nothing of use, and was talking about dropping more in a couple weeks.
Yeah.
It's just mind-blowing to me. And it's so exploitative that the fact that no game journalist is calling this out, that it's just an accepted fact that, AAA games, they're going to have this. Get over it.
Yep.
But they really can't do that because of this cozy nature that they have to have with publishers.
Yeah. Yeah. And Jim mentions Jim in his letter, Jim Sterling. But that's what I was going to say. Like,
there's too many Jims here. we need labels. Hang on, I'll get the label gun. Yeah. Jim, hold still. This will only sting for a little bit.
Because you are also a Jim. So we've got 3 Jims in this equation right here.
I'll just have to get the tattoo gun.
But anyways, there are a few journalists or pundits that have done it, but they're the exception, not the rule. For every Jim Sterling, there are a dozen no-name writers at Kotaku or Polygon or IGN and that's not to say that all writers for those sites or major gaming sites are bad, but
just most of them.
I was gonna say just most of them. They just, I don't know. I'm gonna dig myself into a big hole, and I'm actually gonna stop talking for once because
no, keep digging.
I mean, I don't begrudge. I'll keep digging. I don't begrudge people their jobs. Like, you got to put food on the table. If this is what you're good at, if this is your career, go for it.
Yeah, suck that dick.
But I feel like so many of them have no journalistic integrity, and they just go with whatever.
Is that if you have journalistic integrity, you are at a disadvantage in the gaming industry.
Yeah.
That's why someone like Jim Sterling, like Total Biscuit, are rare, because they've gotten big enough that they could have that integrity and not be punished for it. That they could still flourish. I'm not about to pretend that they don't get punished for their views or being extreme, because they definitely do.
Yeah.
I mean, just Total Biscuit talking about all the review copies he doesn't get because of him not pulling punches.
Yep. Jim has mentioned the same sort of thing. He's has had a couple of Jimquisitions where he talks about how he's been blacklisted by several developers and publishers, and he basically is just like, I'm in a position where fuck it doesn't matter, I'll just go buy the game and write it off on my taxes, but other people can't do that.
Yeah.
So it's tough. I mean, they're between a rock and a hard place. I don't begrudge them, but I feel like if this is one of those situations where they're like, I feel like if a decent majority of people just said, you know what, no, I'm not going to do this anymore, then it would flip the industry on its head.
Yeah, but the problem is that, it's the same problem that you have with the development side of thing, is that there's a sea of talent that wants to get into this industry because of the stars in their eyes, essentially. It's the Hollywood syndrome. They go into these jobs thinking that, I'm going to play video games for a living and get paid for it. This is going to be great. And then you realize that, oh shit, I got to review this?
Yeah. Yeah. Reviewing games is probably the best thing I ever did to give me a perspective on what good games are, because I had to play some shitty games. I got to play some real gems too, but man, did I have to play some shitty games.
Granted, I never had to... I always had the choice of what I was playing, but whenever I did some game reviews for a website that's long since died. But, there were some games that were tough to play for long enough to do a proper review. That's probably part of the reason why I tend to lean towards first impressions now, is that I don't have to play the Blob all the way through a game that's definitely not from my demographic.
Yeah. I remember the shortest review I ever wrote was like 400 words. I was like, I just can't. This game is so bad, I can't anymore. Here's everything that's wrong about it. Here's the only good thing. Don't buy it.
What, the uninstaller?
Yeah. No, it was something else. I don't remember what the good thing was. It was, I think it's on Steam. Like something gods. It was a A wave-based shooter.
I think I might know what you're talking about. I'm pretty sure I know what you're talking about, but I can't think of the name of it. If it's the same one I'm thinking of, at least. But it's why do you have to have journalistic integrity if you're so replaceable? That's the thing.
Yeah. God Mode. The game I think of is God Mode.
And that's the game I was trying to think of.
It was so bad. There was no redeeming quality to this game at all.
I pretty much do, wave-based shooter with God in the title. I think I know that game.
Yeah. This was like a 400 or 450 word review. This game was terrible. It's got mostly positive reviews on Steam. I suppose that if it's been updated and stuff, it could be better now than it was, but when this game first came out, it was a hot pile of steaming garbage with a nice little dollop of dog poo on top.
Lovely.
Exactly. That's what I was going for. Okay, you want me to ready to keep going through?
I think so. There's a long list of advantages on something I mentioned in a little bit.
Yeah, I can skip to that if you want. We pretty much covered this last paragraph, even though I didn't read it. So I'll just skip to part 2. Why gaming on the long tail is the place to be. Caffeine Rage called it being a patient gamer on the Franken episode. There are
which there's a rather large subreddit for that. As a matter of fact, PC Gamer, when they're not talking about the random sex side of mods, have been talking about patient gaming.
There are substantial advantages to waiting 1 or more years after a game's released before buying it. And it is a pretty decent list. You completely avoid any pre-order fiascos like No Man's Sky. Reviews are fully fleshed out and not biased by the beginning gameplay. You avoid server issues that cripple many games in the first week after release. You get to play the patched version and avoid all the bugs they fix. You get mature graphics drivers that improve performance and fix issues with the game. Games are typically much cheaper, and you can get them on sale. DLC is often bundled into the Game of the Year edition. That saves money. You know if the season pass is worth it or not. It's not.
Sometimes it is. Sometimes you get good content in the DLCs, and the season pass is worth it. Especially if you... especially if you catch a pricing error.
Yeah,
I got the DLC or the season pass for BioShock Infinite for $5, and that was very worth it.
Yeah. You know if the game has a lasting player base versus falling off a cliff. You know if the game has excessive grind to it. You know if the developers patched in pay-to-win elements like Payday 2. There's often a mature modding community with stable mods. And the last one, far fewer game patches and mod updates get released that break your game /mods. That's not to say it's bad to buy games right away. People who like popular multiplayer games or want to game with their friends have good reason to. There are other games that you might really want to play right away. Just remember, thou shalt not pre-order. It's not a big deal to wait a few days and find out if the game is okay or a steaming pile of shit.
I will say that the strongest downside of being a patient gamer is multiplayer gaming. Because, typically, there only a few games really last years in their multiplayer communities. And that's the strongest downside. Granted, I'm typically not a multiplayer gamer. I'm typically a single-player gamer. So, that isn't as big an issue for me. But if you want to play Call of Duty on multiplayer, you pretty much have to be there in the first couple months.
Yeah.
You can maybe get a little bit of discount on the first Steam sale, but outside of that, you pretty much have to be there. At least on PC. You mentioned, a couple versions of Call of Duty that has their player base is still on console, but it's, typically patient gamers are the PC crowd, not the console crowd.
Yeah.
Usually. Not always, but usually.
Yeah. I mean, like you, I'm not a huge multiplayer gamer. So, that part doesn't really affect me very much or very often. And honestly, the multiplayer games that we do play are games that we all play together, so it doesn't matter. We have our own built-in multiplayer base.
Yeah, very true.
Okay. Well, that does it for Jim's letter. Excellent letter, Jim. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you for sending it.
Okay. You want to move on to tweets?
Yeah, I have 2 questions of the week.
Okay.
Since we had the week off. First up is, with emulation officially on the table for the Game Club, what games would you like us to consider for future picks? And I should have guessed worded this a little bit better, because a lot of people ignored the fact that I was mentioning emulation. I was wanting emulator titles.
Right.
Groove, I think, just wants to be out of the job pool and want to be forced into his crate for a timeout because he mentioned No Man's Sky and Half-Life 3. Which I next No Man's Sky because I said game, not screenshot generator. Chemist has a good suggestion for Ocarina of Time. It's almost too obvious, and I do agree that's almost the too obvious answer. Honestly, well, the Nintendo 64 emulation is a little finicky still, last I checked at least. But Ocarina of Time has had multiple re-releases. But I would say I would almost want to do a different Zelda because Ocarina of Time is so popular.
Yeah, Majora's Mask, I think, is better than Ocarina of Time.
I didn't really care for Majora's Mask, mostly for the time limit.
The time limit was frustrating, but overall, I really liked the design elements of that game. A lot of
I would almost want to go for
thinking.
an older one, or not an older one, but a more modern one, I should say, like Wind Waker.
Wind Waker's a really good one, too. Spirit Tracks. We should do Spirit Tracks.
Plus, it's also one of those that is, very strange.
Yeah, so Spirit Tracks. Train combat in the...
you just want trains.
That's the only reason I bought that game, and it turned out to be a really good Zelda game. But it's also a DS game, so I don't know if there's DS emulation.
Oh, there is. Granted, it's a little bit cumbersome if you have to do touchscreen stuff. I
was going to say, let me rephrase. If there's good working DS emulation. And actually, Spirit Tracks has this thing where you have to blow on the microphone. So that might not work.
Actually, you could set it up so that the emulation actually picks up your microphone, and you could have it where you could play a sound file through a emulated microphone.
That would work.
The only I think it's a DS game. It may be a Game Boy Advance game that doesn't really work. Is the one that has a sunlight sensor in it?
Oh yeah, I know what. I can't think of the name of that game, but I know what you're talking about.
That's the only one that I've ever encountered that emulators just have no idea what the fuck.
Yeah, and it was because you had to go outside to collect sunlight for the game, and it charged a power meter or something, and you use that to fight certain enemies in the game. It was to encourage kids to go outside.
Yeah, and then they just released Pokemon Go.
Yeah.
But let's see, Jim, Subnautica, let's see, not emulator title. Witcher 3, not emulator title. Desert Bus. Jim, do you need to talk? Has somebody hurt you?
Yeah, that's wishing torture upon us.
I mean, I understand that, Jared's a little strange and he'd probably like something like that, but Desert Bus, really?
Desert Bus is really boring. I've actually played Desert Bus. I mean, I've seen it before, but I played it too.
Well, Desert Bus is one of those torture games that charity streams play.
Yeah.
Let's see, Dragon Age Origins, not emulator title. Well, I guess technically it could be, but...
Yeah, you could emulate it.
I'm not sure why you would want to, but... Eternal Sonata, that's PS3. I checked that out. There's technically working emulators, but it's still in the early stages, from what I could tell. Let's see, KOTOR 2, technically an emulator title, but why would you want to? The Talos Principle, not a bad pick, but not emulator title. And Superhot, not emulator title. Definitely should have worded that question better, or people just ignored it.
Maybe a little column A, a little column B.
But definitely you should put Zelda on the list at some point. Get a copyright strike from Nintendo. How dare you talk about Legend of Zelda?
Yep.
And the question is, which Zelda? Because that would be a good question.
All the Zeldas.
I'm not sure if I would be able to go back all the way to the first Zelda. or especially the second one. Link's Awakening is the one I played. Legend of Zelda 2, the only direct sequel. Well, until Majora's Mask.
Yeah.
But you know what I'm talking about. Yeah, the 2D side scroller.
Yeah, I know which one you're talking about.
That would be very tough to go to, especially because it was so difficult back in the day. Let's see. Other question of the week. What is your most insane gaming achievement? Chemist. I built a cool Minecraft redstone shit, and now I'm towards the end of IT studies. Fully independent thanks to a great job at the age of 21. Jim, almost sea level Eve return with memorable asparagus staging plus old super sphere. No docking, refueling, or command seats. Kyle, turning from fuck Dark Souls to becoming a massive, read fat as hell, fan of the entire series. No gamer score for that. Okay, Jared, what's yours?
I don't know. I've been sitting here thinking about it for...
mine is an actual achievement in World of Warcraft.
Okay. Go for it.
What a long, strange trip it's been. For those who don't know, that is getting the holiday achievements. All of them. And I got it when it was a lot harder, and it required certain ones that... Well, let's see. There was one that... and I got this achievement as soon as you could get it, within a year. Because when they released the achievement system, there was... a couple weeks, they released the achievements, there was a couple weeks, and there was Brewfest, which essentially their Oktoberfest, then the expansion. And one of the achievements requires a thing from Brewfest, and you had to grind that out, and then you had to get drink a booze that thing provided you every month of the year for the year. So,
dang.
Yeah. And they would mail you the booze of the month, and it was a limited time thing. So if you had it say your mail for too long, it would go away, and you would break the chain, and you would have to go back to Brewfest, get the Brew of the Month club again, and then wait for it to cycle around to the one that you missed. I got that achievement in the first year.
Nice.
And that's not even the most annoying achievement out of that. Let's see, there was a PvP achievement where you had to drag your orphan child that you adopt for the week into PvP arenas because, that's safe for children.
Yeah.
But to be fair, that's not the worst thing I've done to a child in World of Warcraft. Let's just put it this way. The stable boy. You make that sound a lot sexier.
Oh, my.
The child that you get at the Northrend tournament. That's just essentially your squire after you complete the opening quest chain. He essentially became my stable boy, and I had, when I quit, I would say 70, 80 pets and well over 100 mounts. He was known as the stable slave.
Bounce. So I've been sitting here thinking, and I've narrowed it down to 3. Do I have to pick just one? Because I really can't decide which one of these is the most insane. 3. Okay. So the first one that popped into my head was the Mile High Club achievement from the original Modern Warfare, which was on the highest difficulty. You had to complete this, it's like a bonus mission. Like after you beat the game, it's a bonus mission. Where that you're inside of a plane and you have to rescue a hostage, and the plane's in flight, and you bust in. I don't ask me how you get there to where you bust in through this ventilation, air duct or something.
A wizard did it,
but it's on a 747, so you start on the bottom floor and you have to work your way to the top. And on veteran difficulty, one shot kills you. You basically just have to learn it. And get all the timings right and everything. I probably spent 10 hours to get this 1 60-second time frame right, because that's how long you have on veteran difficulty, 60 seconds. And you're really pushing to get it done in 60 seconds. And I was so ecstatic when I got it. And then none of my friends could beat it. And after I did it once, I could just do it almost every time. It was kind of like a light flipped on. And I got that achievement for all of my friends because I was the only one who could do it. The second one that popped into my head was in the original Gears of War. I was super good at Gears of War. I won several local and regional like MLG tournaments back when that was a thing for Gears of War. And I wound up on the leaderboards. Like, it had, like, pretty much every multiplayer game does a leaderboard. And I was on the first page of the leaderboard on a couple of the game modes. Assassination and Execution. I was in the top 100 in Execution, and I was in the top 10 in Assassination for a while. And, like, I have some pictures somewhere if I can find them, like, really shitty old cell phone photos that I took of my TV, like, to prove to people, like, no, like, really, I'm on the top 10 in this leaderboard on this game, like, top 10 in the world. There's somewhere,
if I ever don't find the hackers.
There weren't very many hackers at that time in Gears of War. I think, like, all of the hackers went to, like, the standard deathmatch mode and Execution. Nobody, like, Assassination had a really low player count, so that's probably why I was able to get to the top 10. But I didn't care. I never told anybody that. Like, yeah, I'm top 10 in the world in this game mode. So that was cool.
And I'm top 10 in the game mode nobody plays.
Yeah, I mean, it still had a player base, but it was like 10,000 compared to Execution's like.
I'm in the top 10. How many people play this? 11.
If I ever find those pictures, they're probably buried on one of my old hard drives, which I'm going to get out to build the server computer. So I might find them. If I do, I'll post them on Twitter. And then the other one was I completed Through the Fire and Flames on Expert in Guitar Hero 3.
And the train.
Train, keep it running right on time. Yeah, that's one of the major reasons that I have carpal tunnel, is I spent weeks practicing.
Sure, I thought it was all the jacking off.
Well, that contributes too. But, yeah, all the jerking off gave me carpal tunnel in my right hand, and then Through the Fire and Flames gave me carpal tunnel in my left hand. That was intense. If only I could have played real guitar, even half that good. I actually did try. I really did try to learn how to play real guitar, but I'm super bad at it.
Yeah, I hear mine was just persistence. Like I said, there was a couple achievements that were just random chance or having to do something that I normally don't do, like PvP. Because PvP in WoW sucked, unless you were a particular class.
Yeah. But, I mean, those were the first three that really came into my mind, and I could not pick one because I'm super proud of all of those achievements.
Or World of Warcraft was the only time that I really went nuts for achievements. The other one was that I got the fishing title, which, back when I got it, at most 52 people on the server could get it a year because it required a weekly competition. You had to win it.
Nice.
And I got cussed out when because I won it my first time trying it. And whenever you it's fishing in WoW. You run around and you have to catch particular fish out of pools that spawn only during that event in Stranglethorn Vale. And then you have to go to Booty Bay and turn them in. And you have a choice of, at the time, 2 items. I think they've up to 3 now. I went back the next week, and I won it again. And people that were there the previous week recognized my name, that I was the winner last week. And I got cussed the fuck out. I mean, that was the most assault I've ever encountered playing online. The fact that I won it back to back.
Nice. Well done.
And the thing is that competition is the only way, a matter of fact, last time I checked, it still is the only way to get the best fishing pole in the game. It's still a few skill points, not many, but enough to make it worthwhile. And I thought, I'll try it again, see if I could get lucky. And the fact that I won it back to back is that's probably the most insane thing. Is that not the fact that I won it and got the fishing title before they made the title a lot easier to get. The fact that I won the fishing competition twice in a row.
Well done. That's pretty badass, I have to say. Good job. You made people pissed off and they cussed you out.
Yeah. Yeah, so much for fishing being a chill activity in WoW, huh?
Yeah.
And this was also before they put in fish tracking so you could track the pools.
Yeah.
And that was actually part of the reason why I won it, because I would notice people running in one direction, and I'd grab the pools that would spawn behind them. Oh, I wish I had the chat log of when I won it the second time. And the thing is, that's just the Alliance side. I could only imagine what the Horde side was saying about me. Oh. Yeah. A toss-up between those two wild humans. So, let's see. We do have a couple of tweets. Not much, surprisingly enough. And I've cut down a few of these. Kyle, another audio letterless week. Hopefully, my work schedule will ease soon. Hope you guys are having a great night. Oh, Kyle, you had 2 weeks to send something in.
Yeah, Kyle. Slacker.
Let's see. Chemist also responds, hope everything clears up because soon you'll have another podcast to contribute to. Mel's, stray as a pretzel? Is this what Kerbalcast felt like when we were advertising our stuff on there?
Maybe. I don't know. I mean, I'm participating in both, so I guess it's okay.
Yeah, you're cheating on me. I see how it is. I'm just not gay enough for you.
Wink.
And let's see. And Jim also sent us a article, which we could talk about a little bit. He sent us an article. We all knew the Windows Store is bad, but without looking at it, I didn't realize how bad it was. And yeah, the Windows Store is atrocious. It's essentially a mixture of Microsoft's version of Steam, which is already bad, and Microsoft's version of Google Play, which is even worse. And it is impossible to find any core games on there. If you're using a Windows phone, I'm sure it's fine.
Yeah, to like the 3 people in the world that use a Windows phone.
There's dozens of us. Dozens! The article just basically crosses out all the mobile games, and there's like 2 or 3 on each screenshot. It's basically just what we've already said about the Windows Store. And that's why I didn't put it on the docket and just wanted to bring it up here because, yeah, it's bad. And Microsoft needs to figure out, do they want to cater to mobile? Or, I guess, technically Windows, because they treat Windows like it's a damn mobile platform. The fact that my desktop computer has an airplane mode tells you something about how they set up Windows 10.
Yep.
I mean, why does Windows 10 have an airplane mode for a tower? No, don't answer that, because I have a feeling I'll have an aneurysm if you do. But yeah, that's pretty much it for tweets. A light week.
Indeed.
At least we had the letter to kind of pad things out.
Yep. Well, I mean, I don't think we're going to be short, but I mean, we were okay to be short this week, so.
Yeah, so Discovery Queue?
Yep. We've got enough time for one Discovery Queue.
Yeah, cue the music.
Pull up my Discovery Queue here.
And right off the bat, I have Legend of Heroes, Trails of the Sky the Third. A pretty popular JRPG, if I recall correctly. Granted, this is the 3rd installment and not the first. I haven't played the first.
I haven't either.
But it looks very good.
I got a game called Forts right off the bat, which is your very classic, I'm on this side and the other guy's on that side, and I have to blow him up with my guns by aiming and all that sort of stuff, but it's
guns by aiming?
Yeah, aiming my guns and stuff. But it's got a cute aesthetic, and it looks like it's got like a little story to it, and yeah, looks good.
Okay. Oh, here's something interesting. Little Nightmares. It's my second item on the Discovery Queue. I'm gonna drop this in and let you look at this, because this looks kind of first thing I thought of was Limbo, actually. Even though it doesn't have the art style, the platformer-esque of it, with some sneaking and trying to sneak past things. You can see with how the camera looks, it definitely reminds me of Limbo on that. But it's a atmospheric stealth platformer, or puzzle platformer.
Okay.
It doesn't look too bad. Granted, I'm not sure about a $20 price tag on this for an indie puzzle platformer. But it definitely has an interesting art style. It has sort of a... what would you even call that? Are you looking at this?
No. I will. Nightmares.
Yeah, Little Nightmares. It has this almost a vignette look to it, almost. You can see how the light hits everything.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to put a word to or phrase to, and I'm just not coming up with anything.
The art style looks really good. This doesn't look like the type of game that I'd be into.
Yeah, I didn't think so,
but it does look really cool. So I got Strafe, right. Devolver Digital's new game. It's obviously a retro-looking FPS. Looks okay. Honestly, it's hard to tell. The trailers are really all over the place. Lots of cuts and quick flashes, and oh, there's a girl with big boobs. Okay. Well,
and you're sold.
I'm sold on this game.
Well, let's see. I got Legos registered trademark, Star Wars trademark, 3, Clone Wars trademark.
Nice. I think I'm going to put Strafe on the list just because I want to actually check it out a little more fully.
You know, I've never really spent too much time with the Legos game in general. I
love the Lego games.
But this is the Clone Wars, which is in between episodes 2 and 3, right?
Yeah. Wait, no, Clone Wars. Like the Clone Wars TV show or Attack of the Clones?
Well, they have the scene from episode 2 on here. Or episode 1. So, the arena scene? Oh, no, that would be episode 2.
Yeah, that's episode 2.
So, I'm assuming this would fall between episodes 2 and 3 then.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's the orange chick.
The orange chick? Which one?
The one with the blue and white hair things.
Oh,
from the TV show.
Shoot, what's her name? I know who she is.
That's why I called her the orange chick. I can't think of her name. I never really watched the show.
I didn't know they made a Lego Clone Wars.
Oh, look, it's suggested to me Halo Wars the Definitive Edition. Nope. It's suggesting Call of Duty World War II. Nope. What's interesting is going down and seeing what the, why is this relevant to you? And a lot of these are not, even close. Expeditions Vikings, here we go. Have you seen this one?
Yes, I have. It looks good, but... So I got a game, Wrath of Anna. This looks like a...
Oh, God.
I don't know. It's some kind of first-person shooter. It looks weird. But, go down. Why is this relevant to you? Because you've played games tagged indie. Oh, that seems so like bad.
Stretch, doesn't it?
That's so bad. All right.
Yeah, it seems like they're stretching. But Expeditions Viking is a tactical RPG. It looks very good. I want to pick it up, actually. I'm surprised I didn't have it on my wish list. I have a lot of good things on my discovery queue this week. And some shit things.
I've had very not good things.
Let's see. Why is this relevant to you? Indie, adventure, story rich, and it's overly rated overly positive. And looking at this, I can't tell you what this is outside of a walking simulator.
What is it?
What Remains of Edith Finch.
Oh, okay. I've seen that game before, but I'm drawing a blank on what it was, actually. I'll have to look that up in a minute. I'm on the last game on my queue.
Let's see. Friday the 13th, the game.
Oh, nope. I got that one, too. I'm also not interested.
Oh, boy. I've seen Total Biscuit do a video on this. No, but just the name of it. Immortal Red Deck.
Oh, my gosh. That sounds stupid.
It's first-person roguelite gun FPS. Not particularly well done, but not terrible either. In an Egyptian theme, because rednecks are Egyptian.
Yeah.
But that's my discovery queue. I actually had quite a few.
I think What Remains of Edith Finch is supposed to be like Gone Home. Like you're exploring this place and...
Yeah, I don't think I would enjoy that. I wouldn't mind reviewing it, but I wouldn't buy it.
Yeah.
But that is my discovery queue.
Yep, I'm through mine as well. So, I only had a couple that actually turned out to be interesting looking.
Yeah, I'm looking at Strafe, and it is not well reviewed.
No, it looks odd. Like, it
looks like it looks like it escaped the 80s.
Yeah.
I would say late 80s, early 90s. Just with how blocky it is. It's not even Minecraft blocky. That's the thing. Because there's Minecraft blocky where everything is purposely low poly and but then there's this that looks not nearly as good. Which, how can you make a low poly game look terrible?
I don't.
Well, outside of being every Minecraft clone ever.
Well, they're saying that it wasn't, as far as I know, but they're saying this is the best game that was released in 1996. So I think they're trying to emulate that really, honestly, at this point, shitty graphic style when 3D polygons first started to become a thing.
I will say I do like the trailers.
The trailers look like commercials for video games from the 90s. Which, I can handle that. Aside from the first trailer...
was he holding a frog?
Yeah. At least I think that's a frog.
And here I thought Pepe was killed by his creator. Or did you see that going around?
No.
Yeah, supposedly because Pepe the frog is turned into a hate symbol, its creator killed it. Because, a beam can be killed by its creator.
Yeah, that's not how this works.
Welcome to the internet, motherfucker.
Surprise, motherfucker.
Well, I think we're through with the discovery queue, so it's time. It's the time of the podcast where you go first.
Indeed, it is. So, what's going on for me? Well, a few things. We're making some changes to the show and to other things. So, the biggest one is that...
And we should have had this at the beginning of the show if we're having a lot of changes.
Nah. The biggest one is that streaming is going to be dropping from 2 nights a week to 1 night a week. I'm going to focus on Friday only.
Well, it's going to be 12 hours.
Yeah, 12 hours. We're going to play Desert Bus every week. But no.
But only if everyone's singing The Wheels on the Bus.
Go round and round. But anyways, my new work schedule and everything, I'm working a lot more evenings. And I need to make sure that I'm able to get the podcast edited in time so that it releases on Friday. So Wednesday nights is going to be my designated podcast editing time. There may still be random streams throughout the week. I do have more free time overall, but a lot of that is in the middle of the day and in the morning when...
So in other words, I'm just going to get a random text from you. Log on now. We're streaming.
We're doing it live. But
we can't do that anymore.
But... So yeah,
remember Bill O'Reilly got canned.
Fuck it. Anyway,
and now we're Robin Williams' son. Or did you ever listen to that a bit for Robin Williams?
I did not. But
you need to go back and watch your Robin Williams stand up.
Okay, I will.
That's your homework.
Anyways, so yeah,
I'm done interrupting you now.
We're dropping down streaming from 2 nights a week to 1 night a week. And then the podcast from now on is going to start recording at, what did we say, 9:30 Eastern Standard Time?
Yeah.
So if you are last minute folks, your last minute just got bumped up a little bit. And this is just because we can. I've had to record later before, just because that's what my schedule
and look at it this way.
Dictated.
Since we're most likely going to be recording early, that means that Jared will be more fresh towards the end of the show, so you don't have to listen to me trying to throw things together before Jared falls asleep on me.
Yeah.
Again.
Yeah. Mostly, though, it's because I've got an office in my new house, so we can start recording earlier, and I won't be interrupting anybody doing anything. Mostly Katie, like watching TV or working or whatever, but I can just come in here and close the door. Got the door open tonight, but doesn't matter. Nobody can hear me anyways. I'm on the other end of the house. So that's that. That's
yeah,
the
especially
schedule.
if I don't put this podcast up.
Yeah. So that's the schedule changes that affect everybody. Other things that are going on, I was still working my way through my backlog of Divinity. And then I'm going to start working on quite a few other projects, but I don't know what order I'm going to work on them yet, and I need to do some testing and see which my ideas are good or bad. So
all of them.
I'm going to... Yes, they are all good. Thank you very much. That's how I'm going to choose to interpret that. But anyway, so... I mean, there's 2 or 3
cute
weeks.
When you're delusional.
There's 2 or 3 weeks of Divinity to go through anyways. So that's enough time for me to do some testing and working on some of the stuff. So who knows? I'll have more announcements. If you were paying attention to the end of the show a couple of weeks ago, 2 or 3 weeks ago, I talked about some of the things that I want to try. So if you remember those things, then you'll remember some of the things I'm going to be testing out. But that's it for now. If you want to watch my stuff on the YouTubes, you can do so by searching for Gaming Psychologist on YouTube. If you want to watch me stream games, you can do so over at twitch.tv/jarthur4707. That will return this Friday, so if you guys are listening to this on the day the podcast releases, tonight we'll be streaming something. I'll figure it out by then and tweet it about it. And speaking of Twitter, you can follow me on Twitter at JMA4707, where you can see all the things that I tweet about. I've been a little bit less political here lately, so if you hate my political tweets, well, you can enjoy a few non-political ones.
Hey, Jared, did you hear about the news that the director of the FBI got canned?
Don't. I already had a bitch fit about that. Not on Twitter. I kept it off of Twitter. I decided not to...
Yeah, I was sitting here watching Twitter with my bowl of popcorn, just waiting, and nothing.
I posted several long rants on Reddit pages, and I actually called some people and spoke to them. I was so upset.
And I didn't get one?
I didn't post on Twitter. Didn't post it on Twitter.
I feel so left out now.
Fucking asshole. God. Keep it together. Almost to the end. Anyways,
after our little wind down, you can have your rant then, I guess.
No, then I'm going to go to bed. If you want to be
get out of your system now.
If you want to be my friend on Steam, my Steam username is jarthur4707. I accept all Steam friend requests. And so far, everyone's been really cool, and I expect you to be cool too.
And if you wish to let them know exactly what episode of the podcast you're coming from, the password for this week is Camelot. Camelot.
I like that. That's good. All right. What about you, buddy? What's going on for you?
Well, I had a bit of an off week last week, just kind of coasting along. Well, I should say 2 weeks ago, and I was getting back in the swing of things last week, where I missed a Sunday sampler, and looking forward to getting Divinity up and running again. I've had a episode just sitting on my YouTube channel for a month now.
Yeah.
I think that's when I uploaded it originally, and I decided to hold on to it because it was... Both episodes weren't a great place to end things, and we are right at a long talky bit.
Yep.
So, yeah, Divinity should be returning next week. I'm still going through Halo. I'm approximately, I would say, a little over halfway through. Well, I could tell you exactly where I am. I just got through the library.
Yep.
And I had the big reveal that, has been spoiled for me over the years because, I'm playing a over a decade-old game at this point.
Yeah.
And for some reason, Cortana constantly looks surprised. And I also am distracted by the fact that her avatar has a butt crack.
Her avatar does have a butt crack.
But yeah, slowly getting through Halo. And once I get through it, I have a feeling that I'm going to have a bit of a rant. Because I hate the vehicle sections on that for the most part. Let's see. RimWorld is still ongoing as well. I'm in the 60s on my episode count. Don't know how I got stable on this. And the thing is that I think the only way my colony could get killed right now, which I'm damning myself right now, even mentioning this, is having a bunch of raiders drop immediately into the behind my defenses. And having it where I can't turn on my guns. But even then, I think I'd be able to put up a good fight. But Alpha 17 for RimWorld is in the testing phase, and depending on how dingy it turns out, I may miss a good chunk of Alpha 17 because things are stable, and I need to figure out exactly what I want to do with the series, because I'm at the point where I could research and get a victory condition in probably about 5 episodes. Maybe 10, depending on how lucky I am on resources. But do I want to give up right now? Because even though it is a victory condition, it is still giving up the series. So I'm not sure how I feel about that. Plus, there's other things to do. I could go raiding other colonies. There's that pirate base that's been sitting there the entire time, and I kind of want to drop in and kind of turn the tables on the pirates that gave me my mortars in the first place. See how they feel be on the receiving end of a mortar shell. But anyway, RimWorld is still ongoing for the most part. We'll see how that turns out. And of course, the Sunday Sampler, is planning on a particular game this weekend. I'm going to be doing my testing probably in the next couple days. Haven't really gotten a lot of review copies just the last couple of days, but I think it's mostly the pre-E3 lull just in general. So we'll have to see how things come out in the next few weeks. We have to go in the backlog. I know. Perish the thought. But you can find all that, including this podcast, on Gaming with Caffeine Rage. Or if you want to see me tweet occasionally, you can find me over at Gaming with CR on Twitter. And, since I didn't mention the email address for the podcast on the community corner, you can find us over at VGL Podcast on Twitter, and you can email us at vglpodcast@gmail.com with your letters, voicemails, and gaming-related topics. If you wish to help pay for this absolute madness, and now that we've returned, I know, we're back.
We're back.
You can find... There's a sound clip for you, huh?
Yep.
You can find us on patreon.com/VGL podcast if you wish to help pay for the feed. And our feed, now that I mentioned it, is vglpodcast.podbean.com if you wish to get the RSS feed, or we are on iTunes or Google Play if you wish to use those as well. Our intro and outro music is On the Ground by Kevin McLeod. You can find his work at Computech.com, as well as Doobity Doo, which is for our Discovery queue.
Nice rhyme. And as always, you can hear his lovely music roll across my voice. Bye-bye now.
Doobly Doo.
Bye-bye.